Vehicle pursuit. Vehicle pursuit. Police are in pursuit of a car in Los Angeles. Hey, folks, this is Lance the PI, your #1 live streamer. I got this notification from YouTube that there was a pursuit going on in LA. And so by the time I got everything set up, it was over. So, but we're gonna go over the details of this pursuit as somebody who's been in many pursuits in my my career back in the day, many pursuits. So we're going to kind of critique it a little bit, but make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we do go live. So basically this happened in LA. So let me go on and start it. Let me start the pursuit right now. And I'm not sending out no notifications to anybody, let you know that I'm I'm live streaming, because this is kind of a rush thing. Because I want to be able to do this more often when stuff is going on, that I can restream and then kind of critique it as it is going on. So let's see what's going on. Do we got anybody in here right now? Let's see here. We got what, a couple, like 20 people on YouTube, and I'm also, you see my head bobbing back and forth because I'm on my walking treadmill. I got my raisable desk and I'm on my walking treadmill. So let's just watch this pursuit here in LA, see what's going on with it.
PD just basically following along there, a number of them, because of the dogs and the situation. This woman has been driving on surface streets the entire time, has not made her way onto any of the freeways. Ventura Boulevard looks like a ghost town out there. Look, it is wide open and empty, and those speeds seem to be staying low. Now, apparently this woman is not pulling over because of the possibility of the other warrants that might be involved in this. Sky Fox still kind of moving a little bit away from this because of the weather situation. We are not allowed to loiter in Van Nuys's airspace. That's one of the reasons why we're kind of moving away. Hopefully the vehicle will make their way towards us. But right now, the LAPD, this is going to be Van Nuys division, they're tasked with bringing this to a stop, dealing with those large dogs and getting that woman into custody while keeping everybody safe.
I mean, for how slow moving the van is and how many police cars are lined up in a row behind her, it looks like she's getting a police escort. I know that's not the case, but do you know if this woman has the weapon inside of the van?
You know, that's those types of questions. Law enforcement's working with that as well. This is one of those things. It's like, you know, we can kind of poke a little fun at it, but I am definitely concerned of the fact that there is some talk about a gun being in play. They've been asking the right questions on the radio. We've been ear hustling in. We've been listening to what they're saying.
Look how slow
and
they're
the right
going.
questions are: is the gun been seen? What is the situation with the gun? Those are the type of questions that they're asking, and those officers have those are the right questions. But the fact that it was mentioned that there is a gun involved is going to be part of the problem. They cannot just approach this vehicle just trying to take this woman into custody, and then now add in the fact that there's some dogs inside there as well. Don't know the demeanor of those animals, and this just becomes more and more complicated. You can see it right there. We're making that turn now. She made that turn on Reseda, so we're heading up into the hills right now. I wouldn't venture to say that van possibly, this is just speculation, that she might actually be living in that van. We did take a good look at it when we passed over it. We looked inside the dash. It is full of stuff inside that vehicle.
She's
and then
probably
I know
living
that
in
there's
that
3
van.
dogs in there as well. Now, law enforcement, they are still behind it. We understand that a helicopter may be joining this in a moment or two.
Hey,
we're
Karen,
keeping our distance because of the airspace, and they're not allowing us to make our way into this area. So we're doing the end of lens thing again out here, and occasionally, well, we got lucky. She actually made a turn towards us, so maybe she'll make her way out of the Van Nuys airspace and we can continue on. But right now, law enforcement really tasked with bringing this to an end safely, and of course, I'm concerned about the animals.
One of the tactics that they should apply is try to get some
the
spike strips in front of the vehicle, because she's going slower than what we're used to when it comes to pursuit, and it does truly look like she is being escorted. If someone is just looking at this from the outside without any knowledge of what the situation is, looks like picking up speed a little bit, but now we're in a neighborhood. I suppose the good news here is not many people are out and about. It is a holiday. That's a good question. Why there is no pit?
People are home, maybe sleeping in, so they're not around.
They should be
at the same time, because people are off today, they might be outside doing things, right? Because
they might take advantage of that. So that just always makes us nervous watching these things unfold. It's unpredictable. And let's see, maybe it looks like they came to a stop.
She
made a U-turn. Made a U-turn in a cul-de-sac.
And you saw that van just kind of jump over the curb.
Welcome in.
She's definitely being aggressive towards officers. That's something we definitely don't want to see at all. And now that van is again moving along. Now the law enforcement, it might take them a moment or two to make that U-turn, but she is definitely not going to be lost. It isn't like they're just going to kind of just toss up their hands and say, oh, okay, this is over. And, you know, the traffic being light can be a plus and a minus. Folks might be a little bit, you know, not paying as much attention.
It's
Maybe
over.
speeds are a little bit higher. We've
By
seen
the
a
time
couple
I got,
of those today as well. So it is definitely
they
still
said that
a
she had a
dangerous
gun in her mouth?
situation. That
Okay.
van's still
Yeah,
moving along
you don't want to do
at
that.
a pretty good clip, like you mentioned. And then, of course, that driver, she is running
This
from
is a
law
recap.
enforcement.
This is a
We do
pursuit
not know
recap.
the exact state of mind
As I'm
that she's
on
in
my
right
walking
now.
treadmill
And if
trying to
there
get my
was
10,000
gunplay
steps
involved,
in.
this could be something emotional as well. So there's a lot going on, and of course, law enforcement, they're trained to handle these things. Right now, though, we're driving
Stan
around
Atkinson
through
passed
the, you know,
away
this
yesterday?
is the
No, I didn't
this
see
is
that,
Woodland
Brett.
Hills, Tarzana area. This is going to be north of Ventura Boulevard.
Oh,
These
Tiffany
are
says it's a
expensive
standoff now?
These are expensive homes out here.
Okay,
in
we'll try to
very
find
nice
that. We'll
neighborhoods.
try to find that.
You know, does she know this area? Is this a destination, or basically just kind of driving right now just to keep this vehicle moving? She did make her way into a cul-de-sac, so that would lead me to believe that possibly she does not know where she is. But now it looks like we're making our way back out onto Ventura Boulevard.
Thank you, Laura.
More law enforcement
Lori,
out in
thank
the
you for
area.
subscribing.
Possibility of spike strips, that was in play as well. But not sure if they actually implemented that, but they did mention it, that they were thinking about using spike strips. Right now, though, you can see it, wrong side of the road. Thank goodness,
but it's
extremely light
slow
traffic.
Speed.
But still,
slow speed
it could
right
be
now.
A dangerous situation, and we just don't know what the mindset is right now of that driver. We do know that she doesn't want to get pulled over.
I'd be on my way. I'd be trying to trail him to get in position.
You know, with the possibility of a
trapped.
weapon, and then also those dogs in the vehicle.
Okay.
This is there's a lot going on, and law enforcement, they've got a lot on their plate right now.
Let me check it out. Let me see if I can find that screen.
And we know that there's
no
pursuit is typical, but when it comes to somebody who might be suspected of having a weapon actively in a car, what's the protocol for officers? Because that would seem to be an immediate danger to the public.
Immediate danger to the public, immediate danger to the officers. When they try to pull this person over, they will be extremely cautious in making any kind of approach. They're going to have, they won't make an approach. They'll have that suspect come out of the vehicle. Also, the pit maneuvers, we've seen in the past, they won't use it because of the fact that the vehicle might spin around and the driver with the weapon might be pointing at officers. So there is a lot going on. It is a different type of game plan for sure for law enforcement. They have protocols in place for this. But again, you can kind of see right now what I was talking about earlier on with the vehicle being filled with, I'm just going to call it stuff. Also, there's a broken window on the side.
That looks kind of familiar, doesn't it?
They're hearing that there are 3 dogs in there. Don't know where they got that information. I clearly can't see it. There are no windows on the back of that vehicle either. So, but we have heard them say it multiple times, 3 dogs inside that vehicle, and that suspect, the female, wanted for questioning involving a gun.
It seems like she's picking up speed, and we noticed a few times, of course, blowing through those red lights. So it seems to be that she's getting a little bit more irritated, perhaps, and taking more risks as we watch this unfold.
Irritated or desperate, whatever it is, you know, look at, you can see also folks on the ground down there, they hear those lights and sirens, and a lot of those people are doing what they're supposed to do, either kind of just stop where they are or get off over to the right, and that's what we just saw there at that intersection. That van just kind of moved their way through there. Right. We're making our way down Ventura Boulevard. Woodland Hills is where we are now, and you know, anybody that's driven this knows that we're going to make our way over to Calabasas. I really feel like this driver driver doesn't have a destination, is just basically driving, biding time, hopefully on a cell phone, maybe talking to somebody, trying to work this out. But the reality is just pull over, follow the directions from the law enforcement. The animals might be put in a shelter for a little while, but all in all, I think that might be the best outcome for everybody involved. Right now, though, this kind of, I feel for the officers with this one. This is going to be very difficult. Even if this does come to an end, is like, how do you get that woman out? And along with those animals, a lot of times we'll see those animals try to protect somebody because they feel like their owner is being threatened by law enforcement. You just don't want to see a situation like that unfold.
Yeah, it does look like perhaps this van might be her home. There is a lot of junk and clutter in the dash area. Is this the dog you were saying? Is it hanging its head out the window?
There's the dog. There's the dog.
Looks like a Doberman. It looks like a Doberman out there. And, you know, they are.
There's the dog. There's the dog, everybody. Can you see the dog? Sticking his head out in the pursuit. The dog is sticking his head out in the pursuit. Look at that. He's like, help me, get me out of here, this crazy lady.
They're very loyal animals, but you can see that dog is out, and it might not be a Doberman, but definitely you can see its head sticking out the window there. You know, Pups is probably just enjoying the drive. Might be picking up on the tenseness with the driver, but right now this is still a very serious situation. And back into one of these nicer neighborhoods out here, law enforcement, they're just kind of following along, like you said. And now we're actually having a couple of extra officers joining the call here, and I have a feeling that's more for when this does come to an end, that they have the extra manpower there to bring this to an end safely, getting that driver into custody. Right now, though, making our way through these streets up here, Woodland Hills, I'm going to get a little bit of a look to see if this is another cul-de-sac. A lot of these roads just kind of go up and then swoop back down. So
all right,
Geoff, welcome
in, everybody.
Right now.
Welcome
but LAPD, again, this is a serious situation. They need to keep the public safe. They need to keep themselves safe, and they also have to keep that suspect safe. And it's becoming more and more difficult as this
Brett,
continues
I didn't send the
on.
notification out today because this was like a last-minute thing.
Out the window,
I was trying to get it set up while it was live, and by the time it took me, it didn't work right. So I need to pre-set up my equipment so that I can.
All right,
next time I get
if you are just joining us at 8 o'clock here on Good Day LA, we are keeping track of this white van in a pursuit. Started in the Valley. A woman was wanted in an investigation involving a gun. We are not clear if that gun is still in the van. We do know that there are 3 large dogs. As you can see, one of them was hanging its head out the window. This is a pursuit that began about 45 minutes ago, a half hour ago. And is now winding its way through Woodland Hills. And Stu, you've been keeping an eye on it. It seems to be, slow going. However, we've been seeing the driver act a bit more erratically as time has gone on here.
And we believe, Stu, that this individual lives in the van. That's some of the information we've gathered. And then just observing from what we can. Obviously, there are no back windows there, but the passenger side window seems to be broken.
Within 10 minutes before I went live.
Items.
I was trying to set up the equipment,
whatever
and by the time I got it all set up with my little picture up there and everything,
it gives off the image that perhaps this is also this individual's residence.
Yeah, and it just piles on. It becomes more and more desperate for that driver. If this is her residence, she definitely doesn't want to get if it gets impounded. These are things that might be realistically going through that woman's mind right now. It's if they pull me over and I go into custody, my dogs are going to go into a pound, my vehicle is going to get impounded, and how am I going to get my life back? Whatever it is, how am I going to get back to that point? I don't want to give up my pets probably, and I don't want to give up my home. So these are all things that might be going on inside that driver's mind. LAPD, though, their concern is the safety of anybody in the area. Looks like we are doing something.
Okay.
I'm not
What's
sure
going on?
what that is all about right there.
Why'd
Went
she
up
pull
onto
up
the
on the
curb,
curb?
going back up on the curb.
Oh, there's spike strips. Look, spike strips.
Making our way, and there was the spike strips.
Spike strips. She was going around them spike strips.
We know.
That's why if she goes slow, you can see them.
Yeah, so she saw those spike strips being deployed, and it did her evasive maneuver right there.
So she is paying attention and very well aware of what's going on. So she's sharp, I guess you could say, right? She's aware that they want to stop her. There are several police cruisers behind her. We've seen that number actually increase as this has gone on. And now you have officers attempting to deploy those spike strips.
Yeah, and if they did it once, we'll possibly see it again. That one was pretty, pretty obvious. We've seen them be sneaky in the past, where they'll kind of just hide out and wait for that vehicle to make their way into their sights.
Yep, she went around
we
those
also
spike
got to
strips.
say we've been talking about the weather today, and it is definitely cloudy out here. Skyfox.
So what do you guys want to do? Because I'm gonna be on this walking treadmill for like an hour.
I kind of got wide, and if
this is almost over, what do you guys want to do? I want to,
I didn't lose it right now.
You want to go through some of the sheriff's department's use of force
one of the problems that even LAPD has involved
with their video,
out here.
body cam footage, and all that good
keep
stuff.
Keep themselves safe, and there we go. We did find it once again. I went to the wrong spot. We call it like it is, and continuing to wind its way up into the hillsides. This definitely is one of those ones where.
Because we can do that. We can do the. We can watch some of the body cam footage of the police departments. Yeah, that's L.A. Or we could channel surf, looking at other pursuits. Because I've got access to the use of force, stuff from the sheriff's department. Thank you, Joe, for the subscription. Appreciate you. Thank you for the subscription. Appreciate you. So, I'll leave it up to y'all. You want to look at some more police chases? Okay, we can monitor some YouTube police chases. Channel surf. All right, so let me try a couple things here. Hold on, let's see here. This one's almost over. Let's watch this one to the end.
Hopefully,
we'll see if we can find
she
some
does
more.
it. Hopefully, or not hopefully, she winds up in a spot where she can drive out. If these are dead ends, we've seen it in the past where she did make that in that cul-de-sac, do an evasive maneuver, drive across some lawns to get away from the law enforcement. But as it stands right now, continuing on up here into these streets, the very tree line, so it's going to be more and more difficult for us to see it. We can't make our way up there because of those clouds, because where those clouds meet the hillside, that's where the Skyfox will meet the hillside as well. We do not want that at all. So right now we're going to keep an eye on it the best we can. LAPD, they're on the ground. They are definitely in pursuit. Where this woman goes with those dogs in there, it's really up to her. But again, even though it might be a difficult choice, the best choice really truly would be to just give up right now and pull over and bring this to.
Yep, give up. Let's see what's out there. Let's see if there's anything live. Let's go. Let's see if there's anything live. Nope, nothing live. Let's take that filter off. Hold up, folks. Hold up. Okay, when was it this? Let's see this. Let's check this one out.
Skyfox is over this police pursuit. We know very little. Maybe Justin O'Brien can give us more information. Right now, we just hear they are in pursuit of an armed suspect, somebody who left a house party. What more can you tell us, Justin?
Hold on.
There's another pursuit. Where is this one at?
Okay, so right now we're not in communication with Justin O'Brien as yet, but as you see there, when you look at the smart navigation, you get a sense for where we are in the Reseda area. That is Balboa Boulevard near Cavello Street. They're calling that Lake Balboa, so if you know where the park is, then you know where this pursuit. Oh my goodness, and this driver wants to get away and sped up quite quickly, going past a lot of traffic as it heads up Balboa Boulevard. Justin O'Brien, now we have you. You can tell us a little bit more about what police are up to.
Yes, g'day, Susan. This pursuit started about 10 minutes ago. It was on the east side of the 405 freeway around Van Nuys area. There was a report of a shooting on that area, a person shot in the chest. Unsure whether this is connected, but you are correct. I heard you talking about an armed suspect. Police were pursuing this gentleman as he sped through these intersections here, running several red lights. He was also throwing things outside the car as he went along. They've actually believed that he may have thrown that weapon outside the vehicle, but he's been reaching speeds of up to 100 miles per hour here on these normal suburban streets where the speed limit is 45 miles per hour. Currently have 4 LAPD units in pursuit here, as well as the airship, which I believe now has gone into tracking mode because of the speed. This gentleman's actually doing loops around this area. This is the second time he's taken this street here in Havenhurst. So a deadly situation for the LAPD officers in pursuit here. They believe this person was armed, still could be armed, so they're taking all precautions they can, Susan.
Right, so that he took a very sharp left turn there. Havenhurst and Roscoe is not far away from the airport, which also can complicate situations for you, Justin. Is that where you launch from, is near Havenhurst and Roscoe?
Yeah, that's correct. Susan, we launched from Van Nuys Airport. Fortunately for us, this pursuit was happening very, very close. As soon as we got up in the air, we could actually see the airship lights above the pursuit. We were able to track it down very quickly. But this person certainly sticking to the valley, not showing any choice that he may enter onto a freeway. Currently have West Valley LAPD officers in pursuit. But as I said before, he believed to be an armed suspect, so they're not taking any chances. They've got 4 units there behind, and no doubt if he continues to keep circling in this same area, they'll start to make some tactics, no doubt, to try and possibly use a spike strip or something to try and bring this pursuit to an end before anybody gets hurt. Green light there, heading north, I believe, up Woodley Avenue here, still in the North Hills area. Towards the 118 freeway, Susan.
Yes, so meantime, I thought you said they were in tracking mode. Is that the helicopter you're talking about that is in tracking mode? Because it seems as if the patrol car, the black and white, is fairly close by.
Yes, there was a talk that they were going to go into tracking mode because of the speed that this vehicle was traveling at, but it may be a case that they fear that this person is such a threat that they are going to continue to pursuing him. Unclear what the original want was for, why they were chasing this person, or why they did believe he had a gun. But as I said, he was throwing stuff outside the vehicle, and they believe they actually sent a crew or a unit. They're referring to what they refer to as an item. You'll often hear on the scanner that LAPD officers say, hey, we believe the item was thrown out, and that's code, meaning a possible weapon was thrown out onto the ground. They do believe he lives here in this area off Lindley. We're actually on Colgate or Collett at this stage, but we do believe he lives in the valley, and he keeps continuing to circle this area. The idea possibly he actually may be trying to head home, Susan.
Right, well that is the common trope that we often talk about, how oftentimes a pursued suspect will just go back to an area that they're familiar with, that they feel comfortable driving around. And this house party wasn't the house party supposedly in Van Nuys, so not very far from where we are right now. We picked up the chase closer to Reseda. We've watched as this car has gone from Reseda into Lake Balboa and then North Hills and Van Nuys. Okay, that was a pretty close call there, making that sharp left turn onto Plummer Street, and another car was coming in the opposite direction, and it looked as if he could have hit that car, or the car could have hit him. But meantime, This car is going
might as well do
right
it with
now,
y'all
not at too high of a speed, but we've definitely seen this car go from what would be a acceptable speed all the way up to 80 miles per hour, 100 miles per hour as we watch the car now. And it, you know, it's interesting because the windows are now closed, but you were saying that the police and you, did you witness items being thrown out of the car?
Yeah, Susan, police were saying that the person was throwing items out the vehicle, and they gave an intersection, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but they did say, hey, we believe that's where the article is, article referring to a weapon, but they are still treating this as if this person is armed. He's still reaching speeds. Here this is obviously 45-mile-per-hour streets, making his way north still towards the 118 freeway. Luckily, slow traffic here, or no traffic out tonight, so very few people possibly impacted, but here he is making a turn.
All the people in the bar were pointing.
Okay, so now we're on Devonshire Street in the Granada Hills area. The car seems to be
he knew that
sort of following the laws of the traffic. I've seen a couple of close calls, a couple of times when it seemed as if the car was going to be caught up by traffic, but somehow has kept going. Meantime, when you think about it, it's 10:13 on a Saturday night. So at in this area of the San Fernando Valley, there's not a lot of foot traffic, not a lot of car traffic. That was an interesting move there, Justin, where it maybe thought it could outwit the patrol cars behind. Oh, I'm going to make a right-hand turn. Just kidding. And then kept going along Devonshire Street. And we follow this. Oh, this is an on-ramp, is it not? This is an on-ramp onto the 405 freeway, 405 southbound.
Yes, that's correct. So this is the 405 southbound, just getting onto the freeway there. Yes, he appears that he really knew the valley well there. He decided not to go down certain streets, but he's jumped onto the freeway now, so it's unclear. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see when we come up to the intersection here to the 101, where he decides to go. Yeah. And we're just going to try to get a little closer to him so we can actually try to have a bit of a look in that window there and see what the driver is doing. We saw a light there in his hand. It appeared to be that he had a cell phone, so he possibly could be talking to someone as he's driving, reaching speeds of up to 107 miles per hour as he makes his way southbound here on the 405.
And at this point, Justin, we're thinking that there's only the driver in there. Is there any sense from police or any of the radio traffic that suggests there might be any passenger?
No, at this stage, they believe there's only one person in the vehicle, a man. Now, again, the whole idea they're pursuing him, believing, is because he had a gun. So they just said he may have left that party and somebody saw him get into a vehicle and had the gun. So that was the initial warning. But the LAPD vehicles here, you can see they've got the pedal to the metal trying to keep up with him as he's reaching speeds there of over 100 miles per hour, coming up to the intersection here, I believe an off-ramp, staying on the freeway, getting back over there into the number 1 lane. And again, pretty light traffic here on a Saturday night, a holiday weekend. So hopefully he's able to, I always say, hopefully he runs out of gas and this thing ends safely, Susan.
Well, these days, fuel mileage and efficiency has gone up. That means if he had just refilled his gas tank, he can go for a very long time. But right behind him, all those patrol cars, so he's well aware that he's being followed. And of course, we have that night sun, up overhead from the police helicopter. And that's the light that pretty much you're using, right? Skyfox uses or takes advantage of the fact that the night sun is overhead with the police helicopter. I like the fact that you're trying to zoom in there, trying to find out if what that driver is up to. We talked too a lot about like the anxiety or, the way a driver that's being pursued might be reacting physically to this kind of stress and how it can be very tiresome, obviously, but that's why the pursuing officers, those in the patrol cars, they will after a while figure out how to peel off so that somebody else takes the lead, or they replace the patrol officers so that the person or the patrol car that's following this guy will be fresh and will have the ability to have great reaction to any kind of stressor, any kind of situations that change. It looked as if he wanted to get off the freeway, but he still remains on the freeway. He's just going by. Oh, no, he did get off the freeway.
Yeah, it's actually exited here. Susan's off to the... Yes, that's correct. He's exited off Victory Boulevard here, heading back into the Van Nuys area. They said it appears that he does know the valley very well there. Getting off the freeway, there was talk that actually LAPD was going to actually hand this off to the CHP if he did stay on the freeway. We're back here into suburban streets. The driver there, again, reaching 50, 60 miles per hour. Certainly dangerous for any pedestrians who may be out on the road here as he makes his way on a northbound turn back towards North Hills through to the deeper part of Van Nuys. Susan?
Sure. And I find it sort of interesting, not that I would ever be in this situation, but if I were being pursued by police, I think I'd want to stay on the freeway because you can just drive and drive and drive. It gets a little bit more nerve-wracking when you're on a suburban street and you have to worry about opposing traffic, and you have to worry about how close those patrol officers are getting to you as you have to slow down to take those turns. So I always find it sort of interesting when they decide, okay, I'm going to get off the freeway. So now on Van Owen Street and Woodley, that's a fairly well-known intersection, but going up to 85 miles per hour in an area where you typically are not going that fast, and that car just blew past another car that was driving on this street. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where they are now, where this driver is, but it is sort of interesting how quickly he's going past other cars. That's a green light, so he is technically following the rules of the road, but yeah, I guarantee you that police officers will figure out lots of ways to charge him with traffic violations along with just basic evading police. When you're being followed by police, lights and sirens, you need to pull over. But this guy is free for now, and so he's probably going on the idea, is that a red light that he just passed through? Yes. Just crossed through a red light.
Yeah, that was a red light, Susan. Yeah, red light there. Certainly trying to pick up speeds. LAPD officers, obviously, when they approach those intersections, they really have to slow down because they don't want to create an accident themselves. So that's why you see a bit of a gap opening up there between the pursuing LAPD vehicles and the suspect here. We've got another red light coming up here. Pilot Dylan give me some advice. He's looking ahead of what's happening, making a right-hand turn there, heading northbound, I believe. Again, back up towards the 118 freeway. We were saying before, he seems to know the valley. He seems to be staying in this sort of area. Here you see the LAPD airship come through shot there, giving us a beautiful bit of light, because it is quite dark out here in the valley when you're flying in Skyfox. We fly at around about 1,000 feet, so we're giving you the best angle and the best closest shots we can as this car, again, Susan, makes its way north through the valley. LAPD vehicles staying in pursuit. Obviously, this gentleman, as we mentioned before, possibly armed. They saw him at a house party, as we understand. He had a gun, potentially throwing items outside the car, and they believe maybe that was a weapon. Now, if I look down there, Susan, you see that flashing light in his hand. I believe that is a cell phone, so I don't know whether he's texting somebody or he's on the phone to someone. But he's certainly reaching pretty high speeds here, 80 miles per hour, as he's making his way westbound again through here on Sherman Way. So really stick into the valley with Lake Balboa in this area a little bit earlier, Suze.
Yes. So turning on to White Oak, I recognize that Greenland Market. There's some good Korean barbecue in there, frankly, as it reaches these speeds of up to 60 miles per hour in an area where typically I believe it's closer to 40 miles per hour. Do you know, Justin, for a stretch like this?
Yeah, I believe Pilot Dylan and I were just having a chat before, as we launched, because we heard about the speeds, and we live there 45 miles per hour. So he's certainly almost doing double as he makes his way through the valley.
Should be able to hear me.
As he comes through those intersections, some of them are actually quite leveled.
So
he's almost getting airborne as he makes his way through there with a green light.
Y'all can't hear me?
Hopefully he's got a green light coming up here, because he's making his way 80 miles per hour. It's a darker stretch of the valley as we make our way north up towards the 118 freeway through the Estreita. We're going to hit Northridge very soon. Apologise, having a conversation with Pilot Dylan at the same time. Again, making his way eastbound back towards the 405 now.
Right.
And as I was saying before, it appears that he really likes the valley here, and he's staying in this area. As the LAPD did say that he may be trying to make his way back home.
Okay, and if you're just joining us now at 10:22 on a Saturday evening, we've been watching this silver or gray sedan. The original want is just the idea that this person, the driver, is believed to be armed. Justin was saying that there was a report of a shooting at a house party earlier that may or may not be connected, but at this time, police are not taking any chances, and so they are pursuing this driver and pursuing the driver with the idea that the driver could be armed, although there have been reports that at one point at the beginning of the pursuit, the driver had tossed items out of the window, and that's believed to be perhaps the weapon. So other officers,
there's
have
lots
been
of
sent
chases
to
in LA.
the general location of where it was witnessed that he threw items out of the car.
All right, sweetest mom.
And then they'll look for that as possible evidence in this case as we watch this car now traveling on Satacoy in the Lake Balboa area. And this is an area that he's traveled before.
Paul asked what time am I going to drive tonight.
Balboa area,
I'm barbecuing today, so it'll be late.
And a little bit of Granada Hills. Oh, look at him. It looks as if he's turning onto he's back on Cavallo Street. He was already on that street once before. And now, Justin, it seems as if the night sun is gone. Does that mean that the police helicopter, has gone into tracking mode and perhaps is stepping back?
Yes, it appears that LAPD officers or the LAPD airship is still there. It's telling officers on the ground his location. They do have the night sun out, but they're not actually putting the night sun on him. It's almost like as if they're luring him into thinking that they're not following him any longer. You just saw the beam of light pass through the shot then as this guy continues.
Pursued suspect oftentimes prefer to gravitate towards areas that they might recognize.
It up a little
so
bit.
He's back on Cavallo Street. He's been on Cavallo Street and Lasagne, so that same basic intersection at least 3 times now, Justin. And he's not driving as aggressively as he was earlier.
Looks like he's going to get out here, Susan.
Okay.
Uh-oh, here we go, folks. Here we go.
But he's
Here we
stopped
go.
now. He's out of the car.
Look at him.
He's running and holding his pants.
That's how I run. That looks like me running.
And on him,
with my belly.
Spotlighting him as he's trying to get somewhere.
Okay, that's like me running with my belly.
Now, and where's he going, Justin? Do you have a broader view?
He's like,
that's right. He appears to be running towards a business here.
I'm tired.
That's a service station, I believe, or some type of business, a smoke
Y'all got
shop.
my drink ready?
Just have to ask Pilot Dylan if he can swing us around.
Yeah.
It appears to be a...
put some dancing ladies in the chat.
I can tell you the way he was running there, he's not a marathon runner, I can tell you that, Susan, the way he was making his way there. He might actually know the people here in this shop. That's why he's made his way there. We're going to try to make our way around to the back of the store, because that appears to where he entered or where he's hiding.
Well, he was
and we're
pretty
hearing that
recognizable.
LAPD is just arriving on scene.
Yeah, I think he would be pretty recognizable. It won't be long before police find him unless he can
these people out here
really
like
hide.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just out here having a smoke.
Of some kind? I'm
going back in. Hey, man, you better hide. They looking for you.
Yeah, this is a bar, and just the way that the people are reacting there, it may have actually been on call. I believe he ran into here.
And they're like, he went that way. He went that way.
There. Unless if that door is unlocked, that's where he ran. He ran into that corner. So unclear whether he went into the bar, but you could just see the way that people stood outside as he ran towards them, which maybe indicate that he actually may have known the people who told them that he was coming. We'll just try to push into the bar a little bit there and see if he's inside.
Well, that is That's a kind of wild thing. As we see, LAPD arriving now on scene. We see multiple patrol cars already arriving. The black and whites, you don't really want to see that on a Saturday night when you're a bar patron. But if I were them, I would get out and with hands up. Oh, look, they're pointing. Yeah, he went that way.
Yeah, he went that way.
Now a guy's pointing the other direction. But, yeah, this is the address here is 17314 Satacoy Street. And we've noticed a couple of people pointing in the direction of the door, suggesting he is inside that bar.
Stop snitching. Stop snitching.
Yes, they're suggesting that LAPD actually believe he may have walked into the smoke shop here.
Hey, they're really Sally, that girl. Welcome in.
That might actually help LAPD
welcome
out
in.
and just tell him where did he go. Save everybody
he went that way. No, he went that way. No, he went that way.
But, certainly, they got this area fully locked down now, so I can't imagine this gentleman getting away. Probably, if they have to, they're going to just empty that bar and they're going to go room to room till they find him.
Bar and the smoke shop, right? If the smoke shop is open and that door appears to suggest it is. So they'll go in there as well. Meantime, like, I would not want to be a bar patron tonight. I just would not. Like, I need to get home. So, no, sorry. Everybody's got to stay put until we finish our investigation, or at least we search and clear everything. Every room to find our suspect.
Yeah. Bit of a, I've got to say, it's quite an LA experience for these people.
That lady in pink, what is she doing? She's snitching?
And now they're getting a show. LAPD here getting a team together to actually go inside. Yeah, just go
there we go.
The smoke shop.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 officers
go room to room.
going into the smoke shop. And in the meantime, a couple of young ladies going, let me see what's going on. But no, I really don't want to be a part of it.
That's right. He didn't took his shots.
Yeah, correct. Just coming around to the front to have a bit of a look here, to give us a bit of a different angle. Certainly they've gone into the back there, so hopefully they might bring him out shortly if he is inside there.
Meantime, how many patrol cars do you see, Justin? How many black and whites do you see? I see a couple of motorcycle. I don't know if they're officers or just people who are patrons of this bar.
Yeah, we're looking at about a half a dozen officers, so half a dozen vehicles, I apologise. It's about 12 to 14 officers on scene here. No doubt if they do have to clean this bar out, they're going to call in extra officers just to make sure that they have enough people, enough officers on hand to make sure they can control the crowd. They believe that he was not in the smoke shop, so now they actually are talking about clearing the bar. And there was an indication that from the angle that he was running, he actually appeared to be running towards that steel door. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, you can see their attention now is focusing towards the bar. This is Pogo's bar.
Here they go.
Here in
he in there taking them.
The valley.
He in there taking them.
Those motorcycles, the riders were just civilians. They were
now, if I was to do this
and you see
on TikTok, they would say they would cancel my live.
Including this woman who's
that's how crazy TikTok is. They say, "Oh, you're promoting drinking."
Clearly, they're not really interested in her, but they're going to have to go into that bar carefully. Now, remember, the suspicion is that this driver is
you want to press the speed up button?
So they're going to approach this very carefully, as they do every time.
Here it is right here.
In particular because they have a sense that this driver may still have a weapon.
Miles an hour.
Yes, we talked about the fact
been on here
that
for,
he opened
38
the window
minutes.
as he was driving away and threw an item out the window, but police never make that decision that that's enough for them. Instead, they're going to think, just in case, that they've got to approach this guy very carefully, and the whole room, the whole bar, very carefully. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they just call everybody out of the bar into that parking lot, or, as you said, Justin, maybe it's a matter of getting the backup that they need before they do something like that.
It's up to them on how they handle it. If the crowd is not aggressive, like the crowds here in Sacramento are aggressive,
populated.
Normally in Sacramento they would set up crime scene tape and make you move.
Activity
I imagine that's
there, but no police.
Yes, there are. LAPD do have the area here shut down. You've got officers certainly keeping an eye on the front door there.
Well, I need my
certainly, this is probably a very popular watering hole out here in the valley. The LAPD officers, they're actually working out a plan now to get everybody out of the bar. They're trying to get a shield, basically a ballistic shield, to protect themselves in case this suspect is armed. And then they're going to go into that bar, no doubt make announcements, say we're coming in, and hopefully for them and the suspect, he'll be taken into custody safely if in fact he is in the bar. Again, there was as we come back around Skyfox into the backyard of the parking lot of this
let's see how fast it'll go.
There was a door there, a steel door, and possibly if that was unlocked, he may have actually went in there. And you know, I've got to tell you, I'm a pretty straight up and down dude, Susan, as you know. And,
we got it.
None of these guys actually just
telling the 3.5 miles an hour.
He's in the bar. He's in that area there. And let's get this over and done with so we can get back inside and have a drink.
Well, yeah, perhaps there are people who are, indicating we know where he is, but at the same time, police are going to still approach this gingerly and make sure that they're safe when they do enter the bar, especially if that suspect has the advantage wherever they are. Looks as if it's a single story, so it's not as if the person could be like somewhere else, like in the rafters or mezzanine or whatever. But you never know. Maybe he's very familiar with this space and knows where to go to hide.
Okay.
We lost transmission.
No heart attacks here, buddy.
Briefly with Justin as we keep an eye on.
Let's turn it down.
Yep, Susan, if you can hear me. Yeah, Susan, we got him. He's coming out the door now.
Yeah, I just saw a little peek of what I thought was the suspect. Was he there in the door there? Yeah. Yep. There's the suspect.
Down back to 1.5. Back to 1.5.
All right, Justin
Check
O'Brien,
him out.
thank you very much. Tracking this pursuit, a successful end to a police pursuit in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
They got their suspect.
So let's see. Let's find another one. Let's find another one. Let's find another one. Here's one in Chicago. Here's one in Chicago. Let's watch this one in Chicago.
We've got some breaking news. Let's go right up to Mike Lorber in Sky 5 over this high-speed
Chicago.
chase.
We got one in Chicago now.
This has been going on for about 20 minutes. We've been listening to the dispatch on Espern. This is a Hyundai SUV that, according to the Illinois State Police dispatch, is wanted for armed robbery earlier this day.
Armed robbery suspect in Chicago.
Started off the Bishop Ford Freeway. That's 94. Went back and forth in Sibley, went down to the south suburbs, almost a collision about 3 minutes ago where this vehicle, as you can see, an extremely high rate of speed, turned around in Glenwood Dyer Road.
Hannah says he looks a little chubby.
394.
Hey, that's how it is. I'm a little chubby.
Before I-80. This vehicle, I would say at this point, is exceeding about 100 miles an hour. There's one, Max is going to stay with the vehicle here, so what you cannot see is behind it is the Illinois State Police in several suburbs that are coming up
riding on the side.
Several times they were almost able to get to this vehicle, haven't been able to do it as of yet. Behind this vehicle, there are probably about a dozen squads with their lights flashing. So now we're northbound on 394. There's a lot of interchanges here where this vehicle could go several directions. If they go east, they go towards Indiana. If they go west, they'll head towards
if you're getting ready, if you know you're going to jail, if you already know it, because they're going to catch you.
Like that's their plan.
Why not go into a bar? Where would you go? To a restaurant?
Again. This is a Hyundai,
you got to get your last little bit of shots of freedom, and you probably got your friends in there.
Armed robbery. Now
so
it's
why
heading
not?
Towards the city, so we're northbound 394.
Because he knew them people in that bar.
Erratically here. This is the Bishop Ford. This is the beginning of the Bishop Ford Freeway, northbound as we get up towards about 167th Street. Again, a lot of vehicles behind this. This vehicle will eventually
Why am I yelling?
head
am I yelling?
towards the city, and a whole network is waiting for them. What
Hold on, let me
happens
see. Am
here
I yelling? Let me
is
turn
the
it
state
down.
police
You say I'm
will
yelling.
notify other suburbs. For example, this is heading up towards Dalton, Calumet City. Those
Am I
suburbs
yelling?
may
Yes, there
enact
is. Let me turn
their
it down.
people here
Am I
to try
yelling?
to catch this vehicle ahead. And again, that's almost
Am I
happened.
yelling?
There was almost a collision down in Lansing near Cottage Grove, down about Glenwood Lansing Road. Again, this vehicle wanted for armed robbery. They did say in the dispatch they believe there are two people inside and they're armed, and they're heading northbound here in the Bishop Ford, right around 159th Street.
And now we are clearly in rush hour too, Mike, and the traffic is getting heavier even as we've been watching this car weaving its way through. He's behind someone right now, just wove his way in front of a semi and is going along the shoulder. So this is clearly an extremely dangerous situation, particularly with the people being armed. Now, as they get closer to this difficult traffic situation, I know every jurisdiction may have a different rule about a chase. What do you know about what we're dealing with, at least specifically right now, as it deals with the Illinois State Police, since they have jurisdiction
when you're in pursuit, you're really just following them. You're not, you know what I'm saying? You want to just, because they're going to do
City
something.
Limits are about a mile and a half
themselves.
away. So once this
Until
vehicle
you get to a
were
point
to
where you're going
cross
to
over
try
the
to
Cal
do
Sag,
spike
it is
strips
technically
or
in the
a
city
pit
of
maneuver.
Chicago. I can tell you this, though. I'm looking up ahead now, and I see a lot of other vehicles. And
How
again,
many
we don't
car
want to lose the
chases have I
vehicle. This
been?
is not
Oh,
an easy
a
shot
lot.
to keep for our camera person,
lot.
Max, here. But a lot of squads
really
are up
never kept
ahead
track
as
of them.
well. Typically, in this case, because
Probably
this is on
about
the highway,
2
this
a
is from
month
the Illinois State
for years.
Police. We don't know where this started from, but it was down here in the South Burbs. They will continue to pursue. The city of
how's he gonna get
Chicago
between them?
doesn't often pursue because they are worried and have had issues before where people not involved in the pursuit have been hit either by the police or by the pursued vehicle, causing damages. So again, let's resum all this up for you. This has been going up and down the Bishop Ford. We picked it up here around 147th in the Bishop Ford. It went all the way down south to
Who knows
Lansing.
this freeway?
This vehicle,
Who knows this
a Hyundai,
freeway?
wanted for armed robbery. Of course, it's dispatch. And again, this is what we call the Steel Bridge here. So now we are northbound in the city limits here. Just crossed into the city limits.
You just weaving in and
A lot
out
of
of traffic.
troopers here seem to be heading northbound after this vehicle. And now we're northbound of the Bishop Ford. That's I-94 near 130th. You've only got about 3 ramps where you can get off here before you actually get into the Dan Ryan Expressway, and there'll be a lot more traffic.
I'm on my walking
there.
treadmill.
So
Yes.
northbound right now on the Bishop Ford, right around 130th.
Trying to get
we
my
can see
10,000
two
steps
state
in. I wanna do this
troopers
every
that are
day.
trailing at about a half a mile. But again, this vehicle has been exceeding on several occasions over 100 miles an hour, driving very erratically. You can see tailgating that SUV that's in the left lane, weaving from the left lane to the right lane, trying to make its way through. So
And
now we're northbound of the 130th, and again, we'll see if they keep
I'll be right
pursuing
back.
here as this vehicle enters into the Chicago city limits.
And the traffic is getting heavier and heavier, which of course makes this a lot more dangerous. He has come close several times and is weaving in and out of some of these semi-tractor trailers, heavy duty tailgating, and clearly going very, very quickly. That's got to be the major concern right
Did
now.
he exit?
I think that might have been
he
the
just
exit. He just took the
exited.
right. Yeah, you're staying. You got him right there.
Right,
You
so
see right there's the pursuit.
we're heading at 130th Street. And here comes, this will be on a westbound 130th Street.
So now we're in the city of Chicago, on the streets of Chicago.
Right, so this is the far southern limit of the city of Chicago. The 130th Street, if you go about a mile south of here, that's where the Cal Sag is. That is the southern limit of the city of Chicago. The vehicle is now westbound at the 130th, heading from the Bishop Ford. Will eventually head towards Indiana. Now, about a mile ahead here is a very dangerous turn where you have to go sharp, basically westbound to Indiana, and then you go north. That is an area that is normally stopped up and a difficult turn, so something might come to a head here near 130th in Indiana. As you keep going, if you keep going westbound here, you'll eventually get back into the suburbs. You can see there's some road work here on 130th.
Oh, now he's going in the opposite
We can't
direction.
show you behind.
He's going the
Correct.
opposite
It looks like
direction.
he's going to try to turn here, almost hit another vehicle that's heading eastbound, and maybe trying to make a turn. What we can't show you behind this because Max has to stay on the SUV here. Again, that is a Hyundai that is wanted for armed robbery, according to Isburn. Now we've got maybe about a half a dozen troopers with lights flashing here, going westbound at 130th. So we're coming up to
Gary,
that railroad
good morning to you as
change
well.
here. This is 130th
Good morning as well. For all
Indiana.
those just
You
joining,
go
we are now
underneath,
reviewing
and we'll have to turn either right or left
critiquing
here.
police
You've got a lot of
chases.
vehicles
This one
also
here
that
is
come
in
north and
Chicago.
south. This is a dangerous intersection as it
when did this
is.
happen?
So let's see what the vehicle does here. All right, so it's going to get northbound.
Police chase in
this
Chicago.
is at Indiana, and again, we're still in the city of Chicago. And then the vehicle as the state police are getting closer and closer. The vehicle, state police are right behind it as it has to navigate these turns. 3 blocks to 127th Street. We're west on 127th Street, and the police are close behind here.
Thank you.
So you'll keep going west on 127th Street, and again, all of this is very, very dangerous. A lot of traffic in the other direction. There's a school bus that's slowing, and it almost went into the back of the school bus, trying to get around the school bus here. This is a dangerous situation. Let's hope that school bus isn't occupied with kids. The vehicle able to get by here as the police continue this pursuit. This has been ongoing. We've been listening to this, I believe, since about 4:15. It's been ongoing before this, and again, it's traveled probably north and southbound of another 15 or 20 minutes, and maybe about 20 to 30 miles here. Went from all the way from where we are now near 130th, and now this vehicle is really picking up speed in the straightaway here on west of 127. Went all the way down to Lansing, almost collided with a few vehicles, came all the way back north on the 394 here to the Bishop Ford. Now we're on 127. There is an officer waiting for this vehicle here at 127th and Halstead, and that is coming up in a matter of seconds here, so we'll see what happens.
They have to stop for the light
at Halstead in traffic, and there is another squad that is right there.
Just missed
that, I believe that's Calumet City. That's coming in at 127th and Halstead. You'll notice that a lot of the pursuees here are either Illinois State Police or suburban jurisdictions here, as this vehicle keeps going to 127th Street. Now again, we're in a city limits situation where we're going to cross I-57 in a matter of minutes here. The north side of I-57 here on 127th Street is Chicago. South is Blue Island. 127th westbound, and you can see how fast this vehicle is going. It has taken it, even with traffic. We're at 127th and Troop now. It's taken about 3 minutes to get from 127th all the way from the Bishop Ford. That's I-94 towards I-57 here. This is a busy intersection. 127th and Ashland here. We're by the expressway. Now we're crossing I-57, turning northbound here. Let's see if they jump on northbound I-57 towards the city here.
This is a very frightening situation, and at what point do you think there may be a shift in tactic here, Mike? I don't know. We don't know how far back they are because you can't change, and we don't want you to change the shot.
We've seen them gotten close a couple times, but you imagine a significant amount of coordination between the agencies here to try to communicate a possible path of where this person might go, even though there doesn't seem to appear to be any sort of plan. It of course, got way more dangerous when you get off the interstate because it's much more close quarters, and one slight miscalculation can mean a really bad crash. And then you also have this as well, when he's back on I-57.
And you've got this speed, and anytime you've got this level of speed, the slightest mistake can be deadly. And it's a very frightening situation for those around them. They can't necessarily see what's coming, and this guy's definitely this person is definitely driving erratically on the shoulder.
There is a large curve that's coming up here that again is another dangerous situation where I've covered a lot of accidents. Northbound 57, when you go north of Monterey to 111th Street, there's a big curve that comes up on 107th Street. If you're driving without traffic, it can be very, very dangerous. And then we're about a mile away from this either turning into the Dan Ryan, and I don't want to predict here, but if I had to, I would say this vehicle will probably head east as 57 goes east and then go right back south on I-94 rather than heading into the city. They are still pursuing very vigorously, though, behind. We see 2 state troopers that are trailing here as safely as they can. They're basically about a quarter mile behind. We also see squads now above on 99th Street, and there's that curve there. It's going underneath 107th Street on the right shoulder. You saw that Chicago squad going eastbound. They're all communicating on what's called the ISBRN network. They all communicate in situations like this with each other. Look at this vehicle picking up speed
YouTube watcher asked, do I do burpees?
3rd, and again, I-57 on the shoulder. This is going to make a northbound turn, and if you ever drive I-57, this is the turn around Halstead in a matter of about 10 seconds here.
It's going to have to turn right.
And then
rotator cuff
eastbound
issues
towards the Dan Ryan merge.
Where
they just
if I
said
do any
on
kind
the
of
dispatch
bench press or
that they said there was a male
motions,
inside, and
I won't
again,
be able
this
to lift my
vehicle
arm
is
up
wanted
anymore
for
like
armed
4 or 5
robbery
months
earlier in the day. They're saying there's a male and a female inside. They believe that the people inside this vehicle are armed.
We're just doing a critique playing of prior
so frightening.
pursuits.
And I worry, honestly, the most about the people that they are approaching. They have no idea what's coming their way, except someone that's moving very quickly. And how many times have you been on the expressway and had some really fast driver come up on you and scare
Saturn
you?
D asked, do I stream like this
critical.
often?
So it's
really
a
stream
frightening moment right now
the
just
pursuits
to watch this.
that much. I may start doing critiques like this while I'm doing my morning exercise because I'm trying to get my steps in every day.
They have to use.
I'm working on my health, and so having you guys along with me
because we have seen what happens.
It's a great way to do it. So we might be watching some things or doing some things while I'm streaming.
And that's so often the case.
So, but I normally stream. I listen to the police scanner,
now they just went
and I'll
north on the
respond
Dan Ryan.
to calls,
as we all know,
and
a lot
share
more
live
traffic out the
police
Dan
and fire
Ryan.
activity.
So now
That's my normal
northbound,
thing.
Really, again, picking up that speed here. Northbound Dan Ryan, we're going to come up
Do
on
I
95th
ever get a
Street
low
here.
impact exercise
now,
like
I
a
can
bicycle?
look ahead northbound.
No.
There is no traffic
I should,
on the
because I got a
northbound Dan
stationary
Ryan.
bike in
There's
there.
a CTA red line at 95th Street. You'll see the vehicle come out on the other side of that. You've got the Dan
but
Ryan.
check this out.
Now again,
This
what's
new
different
equipment
with
I'm
Dan
getting
Ryan than the other
to stream
expressways,
with,
you've got exits basically every 4
possibilities
blocks
are
here.
endless because I'm not
they can
attached
exit
to any
87th Street,
cars or
79th
anything.
Street, 74th,
So literally, I
71st,
could get on my
the
bike,
idea.
attach a
Eventually, you can
GoPro
head
on my
all the way
bike,
north,
have
and
the
we don't
streaming
see any
equipment in my
traffic on the northbound
backpack,
Dan Ryan all
and
the way
stream
up until about
wherever I
where the
ride my
Stevenson
bike.
is. So again,
And I
this
may
is
do
another
that.
area where this vehicle, a Hyundai that is wanted for armed robbery, can pick up a
Getting
large
off.
amount of speed. And now
I'm not
we're
sure how many
exiting
10,000
again
steps
here.
is. You
We
tell
are
me.
at 87th Street. So I believe they're exiting at 87th Street.
So you're getting into a residential area, and this is rush hour still, and who knows what the circumstances are. School is in session, so there are potentially schools nearby that could be part of the problem. They're on residential streets now where you don't have,
I would do
you
live
have to
police
slow down
chases?
at each street to
Yeah,
make sure that you don't run into anybody a lot of times on these side streets.
I get email
So
notifications
there could be
when they're in the
pedestrians
chase,
making their way.
and so I
Fortunately,
have
it's
to.
cold. Maybe
I try. I got one about the lady with the dogs, but by the time I got everything set up, it was
you're in a
over. So we just
residential area,
restreamed
and
it.
he's still going.
So what I'm
well
gonna
beyond
do
the
is I'm
speed
gonna
limit.
just save this.
Maybe not 100 miles an
setup
hour, well
on my
again, you see it
my
right here
computer.
as opposed to the expressway
Okay, hold
where
on,
you
what are
know
they
it's
doing?
open. These are
You almost
residential
got hit.
streets, and you don't know what's coming up.
Right.
And this
So when
could
I get that
absolutely
notification,
cause a collision.
all I gotta do is
I
boom, boom,
believe
and
we're
I'm
off
going,
Of, State
versus
Street
taking
or maybe
10
a block
minutes to
off
set
of
it
this.
up.
They got off at 87th Street, went about a block, so we are about 80. Coming up maybe about 83rd Street here,
just saw him go
northbound on
over-
this residential street.
Yeah, you just saw him go over a speed bump. So you're in a clear residential street dealing with speed bumps. Makes it even more frightening. I don't know. I hope people are watching, or they can alert people. And that's one of those things. There's no way for drivers and residents
Mama G.
necessarily, unless they're watching television right now, to know what's going
I'm
through their
telling you,
neighborhood.
at least
And
from what
other
I know,
drivers as well.
my weight
Exactly.
does this.
Yeah,
Right, and I think
And
these
it's all
speed bumps
based
are here
on
because we're off
my
of State
diet.
Street here, and again, now the vehicle is heading eastbound.
It's
but
based on my diet.
Those speed
Majority
bumps
of
are
it's
there because
based
a
on
lot
my
of
diet.
people
When I
take those as
intermittent fast
alternates
and
for
eat
the
one
Dan
meal a
Ryan
day or
and tend
2
to
meals a
exceed
day
the speed
during like a
limit there
3-hour
because
block,
they think, well, I want to save time getting
I
off the
lose
Dan
weight.
Ryan. Now the vehicle heading
But
eastbound here, and
I like
I
to
believe
eat.
we're on around
So,
83rd Street.
I don't.
And trying
I
to stay
need to
with
do that
this.
intermittent fasting. Yeah, LD. I can't wait
I'm
till
not
it comes.
sure, and I was
I'm just
looking
hoping and
behind
praying
here,
that
and
it
we're trying
does
to
what he
figure this
said
out.
it was
I'm
going
trying
to
to
do.
figure out if the state
'Cause
police
there's- I
or
mean,
the people
literally,
that
I can
pursuing
get-
even know where this vehicle
Go-
still
I
is.
might take
They
you
may have
guys on
lost him
walks
because we're looking. I'm trying to look
and
behind
just stream
as we
while I'm
stay with
walking
the vehicle, which I believe
and just
is
hook it up,
east and
'cause you can
around
connect it to
83rd
any
Street.
camera.
And
So I
they
can
may
connect it
have
to my
lost the
GoPro.
vehicle. So if
Mount
anybody's
it to my
listening in,
backpack
this
right
looks
here
like east on
on the
83rd
strap
Street.
and go.
We're about a block or two from Martin Luther King, which is 400 east
Crystal,
here.
just
Again, that
subscribe.
vehicle
Welcome to the
bailed
family,
off the
Crystal.
Dan Ryan, and I believe this is coming up on MLK now, and went eastbound across MLK. So that was Martin Luther King here, and eastbound, I believe,
Yep, the
again,
salad
this is
suit, yes.
83rd Street. And again, Marion, as you were talking about, this is a residential area where speed limits are about 20 or 25 miles an hour. You've got a stop sign almost at every light here. Now the vehicle going northbound, so we're at about 600 east here, northbound, and a very residential area, and now we're parked. So the vehicle was pulled in front of a home here. We're about 2 blocks east of Martin Luther King here, and we're north of 83rd Street. Looks like somebody got out of the vehicle. What's that, Max? The cameraman's talking. Okay, so we've We've got one person that got out of the car that's behind that tree there, and we see in the center, and then one person that is still in the car. And we can just see what happens here, but what we don't see, and we talked about this before because we are in the city of Chicago, we didn't see those lights that we saw all throughout the expressway. We've been very focused on the Hyundai here that, again, was wanted for armed robbery. So the vehicle is parked here, and again, we're about 2 blocks east of Martin Luther King. Got back in the car here now, and just north of 83rd Street. And again, don't see any police moving in at this time. Let's see if the vehicle stays here or continues to move on.
Allison Rosati with Stefan Holt here.
He's taking off.
We want to thank Marion and Alex for their coverage. This is very surprising, especially after the high speed that this car was traveling at with the armed suspects inside, that they would take time to park. Do you have any eye on any type of law enforcement nearby, or is this pursuit over?
Okay, good.
So the lights that we saw flashing on the expressway, and again, if you're just joining us here, as the vehicle parks again, this one up and down 394 and up and down the Bishop Ford Freeway, there were lights the whole time. Those lights appear to be gone. Now there is a vehicle, let me count my streets here, that's coming off of 83rd Street as this, there's 2 people inside this vehicle get out there on the sidewalk. There are squads that are starting to come west on 83rd Street. So we are, let's see, I think we're about a block east of Martin Luther King. I do see squads, and again, we can't show you that shot here because...
No, they're splitting up. One person's going one direction.
Dime bag and a
one person's gone in different directions here.
No, thank you.
There are squads moving in. So we're an apartment
YouTube
complex here.
Eat salmon and greens 5 days a week. Okay.
Again, we've been holding our
breath. And we
breath,
just saw something being thrown
vehicle.
over the fence, too, yeah.
He threw his gun over the fence.
Go ahead.
I hope that people who are watching in that neighborhood there can find a way to stay sheltered, since we do know, as you've been reporting, Mike Lorber, that these 2 are armed. And there are suspects in an armed robbery from
That's
earlier
what they pursued.
today.
I'm going to ask you, you can see there's a squad that just went right
by
him
He just walking
right
like,
now.
Don't
and
run.
He threw something on the ground. Nick, if you can hear me, our pilot has the Chicago Police Department helicopter. Are they up flying over this? So the Chicago Police helicopter has been flying about this as well, and we've been so focused on these people that have been winded. That is important because they have the same perspective we do, which means that they, from the air, can direct the Chicago Police Department down below here to where these people are. So this is the man that we saw get out of the vehicle.
Like,
again, this was a Hyundai that was wanted for armed robbery. The Illinois State Police Network, and there you go. There's a squad pulling up right now.
He's just like, I'm not stopping.
And let's see if we have a foot chase here.
I'm not stopping. What, officer? I'm just
I believe
walking
we're on
home.
83rd Street, and I believe
do
somebody's
nothing.
about to be taken into custody.
I didn't do nothing.
Remarkable, walking so
about?
casually down the street, looked like they were on a cell phone, and that Illinois State Police car just rolled up real fast and got out and told them to get back onto the sidewalk there. And watching another officer approach there.
I have to say, I was
So this has come to an end.
Concerned because of the fact that there was an armed situation, that there might have been somewhat of resistance or a shootout. So thank God this appears to be ending peacefully with the suspect taken into custody.
Right, I believe we are 83rd Street and Martin Luther King, 83rd and King Drive. So again, it looks like we're in custody.
Mike, just to confirm, we saw 2 people get out of that vehicle. This was the one gentleman who turned to the right of the camera. The other person went left. Do we have any idea on what happened to that person?
We don't. And Max, I'm going to ask my camera
person. We're going to watch another one.
You have the guys on the ground. You can see 2 of them right
watch
there.
Another one,
Domestic violence is about the best we're going to say right now for what that suspect is originally wanted for. But I can tell you that vehicle's been running red lights, pretty much every red light as we make our way up to another major
Mama
right
G,
here.
they caught the guy at the car.
Speeds, well,
they caught him. He was in there probably having a couple
haven't
drinks.
been extremely high. There you go through another red light right there, but it's been continuing southbound on this on La Brea, and it's just been making its way into the LAX's airspace. Hopefully, you'll make a turn here somewhere. Otherwise, Skyfox might have to break off for a little bit to reacquire this pursuit. But LAPD, they're definitely on the ground right there. Two vehicles. This has been going on for a few minutes. It was off of Western for the longest amount of time. Started over by the Coliseum and made its way over here to La Brea, and then it made that turn to the south. But the driver is continuing running the red lights. You can see right there those speeds. They are about what the freeway speed should be. If we are actually in the Inglewood area right now, and that vehicle continues to move southbound. LAPD staying right behind it. In full pursuit. Another red light right there. Every time that happens, I got to tell you, my heart does kind of skip a beat because I'm always worried for anybody any of the civilians that might be in that area that may be caught in that cross traffic.
Hey, Stu, so do we know how many people are in this car?
Uh-oh.
Well, right now we know that there definitely is just the driver in there, and you can see it's continuing southbound. And again, when they have these domestic dispute type of calls, those are usually the most dangerous for LAPD in general. Not sure exactly how this started, and we heard something about, and again, this is also unconfirmed information, something about that driver possibly being following a bus with the spouse in there, or the partner. In that
I
bus,
might do this every day.
And that's what got the LAPD's attention when they got behind
try to get in this
that's when that pursuit
every day
started.
To get my steps
Chris doing an amazing job with Skyfox. We keep climbing just to keep this shot up. I'm hopeful that he'll make a turn
and then I'll set up another laptop.
And make this easier for us because I don't want to break away from it. But right now we still have pretty clear view of it. But we can't make our way any farther south because of the traffic landing at LAX. So we're kind of staying here. The car is continuing to go farther and farther away. Are they pit approved? Well, LAPD, we heard the word a couple of times, but we haven't seen an opportunity for that unit to be able to make that pit maneuver. So right now, you can see that vehicle just continuing southbound on La Brea, running almost every red light. LAPD doing what they can to stay behind it. My pilot, Chris, doing an amazing job. We're actually making our way over to the 405, but at this altitude, we can keep an eye on what's going on as long as it doesn't get behind these buildings. But again, Brooke, this is a pursuit, domestic violence suspect in there. And again, usually those are generally one of the most dangerous type of calls. And you can see that vehicle making driving over the center divider right there. So possibly making a U-turn. I got to get a hold of my pilot, Chris. Chris, he's making a U-turn. He's going northbound. He's going northbound, Chris.
The direction they came from.
He did hear me.
Stu, on one note, obviously domestic dispute calls are known to be some of the most dangerous for officers, and also traffic calls of any kind known to be the most dangerous. And so this, in some ways, pairs the two, so you can just kind of put in perspective the importance of getting this vehicle off the road.
Definitely, and whenever it's anything domestic, it always becomes emotional, and when the emotions are involved, all reason. Most of the time, when we follow these pursuits, people ask me, "Is like, what do you think they're thinking?" You don't think they're thinking much of anything, and when you start throwing emotions in there, it really just opens up the door for something that could end poorly. We're actually making a U-turn, so we are going to be getting closer to it. That car continuing on. Now we're on the wrong side of the road right there. Now making its way northbound on La Brea, basically just going back from the same direction where it came. But the speeds, I gotta say, for some reason they're staying relatively. Well, now I'm seeing 70 miles an hour. I don't think they're actually going 70 miles an hour. But they've been relatively normal. I'm not saying anything outrageous, but definitely continuing to weave in and out.
We're trying to get our
traffic,
10,000 steps
getting close to other vehicles, driving on the wrong side of the road. Anytime that any of that's happening, I'm always more worried about the other vehicles that are on the road with that driver.
Yeah, obviously, this is actually where I used to live, La Brea and Cincinnati. They're right there, so I know just how busy this area is, even around this time of day, and not just cars, but people crossing the street, pedestrians walking up and down the streets. This is a busy area, even if you're not totally able to see it from the video here, Stu. But can you tell us a little bit of what you know about this area?
Well, I'm just kind of along with you. I have a friend of mine that lives in this general area as well. But right now, we're actually making our way out of that area, and making our way back into the Baldwin Hills area. I kind of wonder if this car is going back to the original where it started, because basically it just made a U-turn and now is heading back north on La Brea and heading back towards Jefferson. We'll see what happens. There's the LAPD helicopter now using that center divider. That one LAPD unit was relatively relatively close at many times. Look how close that car is to that to the suspect. So possibly we might see a pit maneuver if it is able. Like right now, you couldn't do it. You have all those other vehicles around there. But if there's an opportunity that presents itself, we might actually see a pit maneuver try to bring this thing to an end. But LAPD, they're doing what they can to keep the public safe right now. They got lights and sirens on. That's the only thing they can do. That driver, that suspect running from the law enforcement right now, still maybe in an emotional state, but definitely trying to keep away from the law enforcement. Not a good situation at all. At least we're staying in the right lanes, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of traffic with that vehicle. And again, LAPD, they are in pursuit. The suspect wanted for some sort of domestic situation.
Yeah, the police pretty close behind this car, and just obviously it seems obvious, but just watching the car go, down the turning lane, in the center lane, driving straight down the whole time, slowly moving through these very busy intersections, this is just incredibly dangerous.
Whoa.
Be careful. He almost hit the guys on the bike.
Did you see that right there? It looked like that
terrifying.
car was actually making now we're on the wrong side of the road, was making a beeline for that pedestrians, the bicyclists. It was like almost a threatening move. A lot of times, look at that. Oh, jeez. Could you just imagine being right on Stalker right here?
That's what I just keep thinking of. You just have no idea what's coming.
And you're kind of stuck in those lanes right there. They had that center divider. Now we're back on the right side of the road, but you're just driving along on Stalker, and then all of a sudden you've got this car going the wrong way. And then they had an LAPD vehicle there as well. They do what they can, and a lot of times I've talked to a lot of folks about that, and they're just like, why don't they just ram it? Why don't they just... Because you just can't. That's not... You just can't do that. It just doesn't work that way, especially here in Los Angeles. So they have protocol in place, and they cannot just smash into a suspect's vehicle, and especially somebody, and again, we haven't heard the words of any kind of being armed, but they always have to assume the worst and hope for the best. That's basically law enforcement in its finest. That's the best they can do. Right now, though, you got the LAPD in force behind it. You got a number of vehicles, again, following. Again, luckily, we are back on the right side of the road, or the correct side of the road, but that vehicle continues to elude officers, and hopefully we're not going to see any kind of posturing like we saw just moments ago, where that vehicle apparently, or seemed like it was actually targeting some pedestrians there on the side of the road. Thank goodness nobody got hurt. But again, this pursuit's continuing out here. Now we're in the Windsor Park area, and again, speeds, well, they are above whatever the posted limit is, but that vehicle, as well as I do, that Maserati can do a lot better than that, and is keeping within reason, but still, as far as any other laws of street laws, not at all. Wrong side of the road, running red lights, anything you can imagine.
It is terrifying if you just, you're just an unsuspecting driver. It's lunch hour, during a holiday week, and people are just trying to get where they're going. And look at this. And, it almost gets more dangerous when things slow down. These cars there are following the rules, obviously stopped at a light. Look at that. It's one of those things you were just talking, Stu, about the fact that, people often ask, why can't you just stop them? But even when following protocol, these pursuits are often very, very dangerous and often sometimes deadly for unsuspecting drivers who just happen to be on the road.
Brooke, that is the thing that I always worry about. Law enforcement, I've said this before in the past as well, they are concerned about the safety of that suspect as well as anybody else around that vehicle. They are responsible for everything that's happening in that pursuit. But my fears have always been more, let's just say, grounded. I worry about any of the people that are around this car. Like you said, unsuspecting people, you're just going about your day, and then you've got this person barreling through red lights, running from law enforcement, and that's when the tragedies happen. We've seen it in the past. Don't want to see it again. You've just saw that vehicle making all these crazy turns, now starting to weave in and out of traffic. I'm wondering if LAPD is actually backed off because of that driving, and then now just in more of a tracking mode. The helicopter's still above it, but coming up on a solid red right there. Thank goodness there were no other vehicles there, and now making another turn. Now we're back onto Jefferson, and this is where this thing started. This is where we picked this up earlier on. So basically making a big giant loop. don't know what's going on. Hopefully this person is working through whatever emotions they might be having right now and might come up with a relatively calm answer and just pull over, get out of that vehicle, try and run. But, you know, let's just hope that nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, that's the hope there. And, you know, on that note, you know, we just had a close call, Stu. I want to show our viewers that one more time. We saw that close call with a bike that scared the two of us. Look at that. The car was going in just such a direction directly towards the person on the bike. You can imagine the fear. You have no idea what's going on. Hopefully, you know, they're hearing the sirens, but things just happen
just laid
so
the wreath
quickly.
At the Arlington Cemetery. Okay, cool.
That guy there on the bike looking that way,
Yeah, you know, and you saw. Oh, look at this.
Where's
I
it
guess
going?
we're
In
going
a driveway?
home.
Seems like they're pulling into the driveway there.
Looks like pulling into a back of an apartment complex right here. This is definitely going to be off of West Street, and you got some folks out front. Where Skyfox is going to move around. We're going to try to get to the back there, but clearly there's something that these folks know what's going on. That vehicle stopping, the door open. Sorry, we are. We get to see that suspect getting out of the vehicle.
Like it ain't nothing.
And just basically kind of parked the vehicle and getting inside. You know, maybe not the most dramatic ending, but definitely the endings that we want to see. Like right now, that vehicle definitely stopped. Law enforcement, you can see the helicopter above. Officers arriving here on scene. This may turn into some sort of standoff, but clearly that driver parking the vehicle, going inside this apartment complex. We're going to listen in to see if we can get some information.
All right, we're going to.
That's not the ending. So the shots have been fired. The suspect is definitely down. And apparently he came out to the front, and he did have a weapon and was posturing, and now that suspect is down. Brooke, I don't know if we can get in any tighter because there are family members down there as well, but definitely shots fired.
I think they clipped it out. I think they clipped it out.
It's hard to watch. Obviously, I want to apologize. You know, this video is hard to watch for anyone at home, Stu, but, you know, when the driver parked the car behind this apartment building there, I saw him get out of the driver's side, and he seemed to be holding his leg, and my first thought was, you know, was there a weapon or is he hurt? There seemed to be something going on there. Just to update anyone who's just tuning in right now. Obviously, this pursuit has ended in the West Adams area.
Get up there with that. Now go forward. Go forward.
This started with an assault
he's still
with a
on the ground. They're not
call,
approaching him yet. He's on the ground.
He's on
the ground.
That police chased in white Maserati. This was a person. This is another person. It seems like police are.
Now that person ran inside when he pulled in the back. That's probably where he lived. That's
at the beginning of at the front of the house.
I have to be very careful on what I show on television right now because we are live. But these are people that probably, I would venture to say, know that suspect. They are taking them into custody because I don't think
that woman
any,
in the red sweatpants
any charges are going to be filed against him. But apparently that suspect did come out from behind the building and was posturing towards officers, and then the shots were fired. Those two made their way over to that suspect. Now law enforcement is going to go over there. I mean, it is for us, thank goodness, that suspect underneath the tree, so we can't actually see what's going on right now. But I do know for a fact that suspect is down. And,
now, if I was
bleeding, there's another person that was with that suspect on the ground. You can see that clearly very, very emotional.
Right.
And again, this is one of those times when officers, they have to separate family members from the ones that are injured because of their actions.
Very emotional scene. There were actually a group of people standing in the front of the apartment building when the car kind of pulled up and zoomed through that driveway going to the parking lot in the back, and I do remember seeing those red shorts, and obviously you can't imagine what they just saw. And it's hard to watch. Obviously, want to apologize.
Like right now, that vehicle definitely
pulling into the driveway there.
Let's hope that nobody gets hurt.
Let's watch.
Yeah, that's the hope there. And on that note, we just had a close call, Stu. I want to show our viewers that one more time. We saw that close call with a bike that scared the two of us.
Look at the people outside. We're going to watch
going in just such a direction directly towards the person on the bike. You can imagine the fear. You have no idea what's going on. Hopefully, they're hearing the sirens, but things just happen so quickly. That guy there on the bike looking that way,
Yeah, and you saw. Oh, look at this. I guess we're going home.
Look, lady in the red shorts. He was on the phone with him. I bet you. He was on the phone with him.
Seems like they're pulling into the driveway there.
Looks like they're pulling into a back of an apartment complex right here. This is definitely going to be off of West Street, and you got some
Okay, so look at the people in the front of the apartment now. Look at the people in the front.
Folks out front, where Sky Fox is going to move around. We're going to try to get to the back.
That's probably his mama. She told him, see, he called him. He called his family. Look at that. There's that lady that they ended up, she ended up pulling her away.
Something that these folks know what's going on. That vehicle stopping, the door open. Sorry, we are. We get to see that suspect getting out.
Okay, so why he did that, nobody knows. Why he did that, nobody knows. Yeah, that was his family members. He went home. He went home. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see the next one. Let's go to the next one here. This has got
seems to be
still in San
Police
Bernardino.
Tackle
and again,
suspect before
getting bad
jumping
again, guys.
from freeway
215
overpass.
freeway northbound here, heading up towards the 15. He is starting to slow down now, so let's see what happens. He's definitely slowing down. This is a high grade, but it looks like he's pulling off to the right here. So let's see what happens. This is on the northbound side of the 215, just before the merge with the 15 as you make your way up through the Cajon Pass. Still officially in San Bernardino. There's the CHP units, but they backed off substantially, a good quarter of a mile. The airborne, the helicopter, was still following. Okay, let's see what happens here. He's going to be given very strict instructions here. You've seen these felony stops multiple times. Officers giving him direct instructions on how to conduct himself, and he clearly is not doing what he's told. They do not want him making any type of movement inside the car, reaching for anything. They're telling him to have his hands up and walk backwards towards him, and he is not doing that at all. And those officers down below are clearly giving him
This is 8 years ago,
there.
folks.
Obviously,
this
is a narrow stretch of the 215, only 2 lanes, and those lanes are being held. This is a very dangerous situation here. So he's walking out, clearly just walking over casually, not doing what he's told at all. And this is the reason why they wanted that canine unit here. Walked over the center divider here, just very casually here. And the officers are holding back a bit. And now he's going to be possibly walking across southbound lanes of the 215 freeway. This is a rare situation. I've not seen that. Standing in the center divider here, traffic is going to open up, and it looks like he's going to have an opportunity, if he wants, to cross over this freeway, the 215 freeway southbound, just south. There he goes, right across the freeway here.
Rick, I don't know if you can hear me. Rick,
from these California Highway Patrol officers.
Rick, is he carrying something?
Moving off to the right shoulder here. Let's see what he does. Looks like he's going to walk southbound. I'm not seeing any units coming southbound yet. And being that he's on this overpass, here comes a unit underneath here. The 215 freeway crossing over, and this is just south of the 15. The 15 up through the Cajon Pass into the high desert communities will push in. Looks like he's in a T-shirt and shorts and just acting very casually and randomly. He's got something in his hand, perhaps, some sort of a stick or something. I can't tell at this point, but clearly, I don't know what he's going to do here.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's clearly not. He wasn't doing what he was told. We've seen these felony stops so many times. There's officers there on the northbound side of the 215, so it's divided here at this overpass. He's communicating with them, officers down below as well. He casually just pulled over, whether or not he was out of gas or not, on the northbound side of the 215. He reached into the back seat, was not doing what he was told by officers. And now has something in his right hand here. And again, I've lost communications with you, Stephen and Roxy. So you guys can pick this up, and I'll just chime in. But I cannot hear you guys at this point. But something I have not seen. They are tracking him with a helicopter as well in San Bernardino here on the 215 freeway, walking southbound now.
Now, yeah, Rick, we're watching this with you. We did notice that he is holding something in his hand. We can't identify what it is. And remember, this is an overpass. That's a pretty big, steep jump if he goes off of it.
Can you guys hear me? Put a 1 in the chat.
It looked like he was going to jump.
It did look that way. I don't know if he thought about it. He was analyzing the situation. It's interesting watching the body language, though. Very nonchalant, very casual. It
looks casual from here.
Very casual. So, as Rick pointed out, the fact that we don't know, did he pull over because he felt as though he should?
Was he out of gas?
Was he about to run out of gas? We saw him pull over, make his way across the freeway. Now he's at this
digging in my nose.
and it looks like he's still analyzing.
Yeah, Jim Holcomb, what are you seeing here?
Well, when he got out of the car, of course, he reached inside and armed himself with some kind of a weapon there. He's got a long stick or a pole. It looked like almost like a metal pole or some possibly a car antenna or something long in that nature. But this is a good opportunity for less lethal force here. Although officers have to realize this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. This is a law enforcement nightmare. He's now on the other side of the freeway. All their assets are on the other side. They can't easily get over there, and they're going to have to get units over there to basically arrest him at this point.
Across the southbound side of the 215 now.
Yeah.
And again,
they need to block traffic on the other side.
On the overpass here. You saw that helicopter. That's the law enforcement helicopter. So he's deciding to stay on the overpass here. You can see all the CHP units on the northbound side of the 215. And there are some officers staged underneath that overpass as well. And traffic just keeps going. I'm surprised the CHP has not stopped traffic on that southbound side. Ran a unit up there, crossed over, and perhaps attempts to hold the southbound side of the 215 freeway here because, again, an erratic suspect here, a stolen vehicle suspect out of Beaumont. This started well over an hour ago in Beaumont, made its way into LA County on the 60 freeway, past the 57, towards the 605, north on the 605. Then he picked up the 10 and took the 10 all the way into San Bernardino, transitioned to the northbound side of the 215 freeway, and then made his way north on the 215 to this point, just below Devore, just south of Devore, where the 215 and 15 freeways meet. He slowed down, he pulled over. Unclear if he just decided to pull over at that point or if his car ran out of gas. He walked across southbound lanes here of this narrow stretch of freeway, only 2 lanes, and then has made his way a little bit to the south on the southbound 215, while all the officers are still positioned on the northbound side. Northbound traffic stopped, southbound is not. You can see it stops for a moment as he decides to walk across the freeway here, holding something in his hand. It almost looks like a large windshield wiper blade, perhaps some sort of walking stick. It does not look like a weapon, that is for sure, at least from our vantage point up here in Skyfox. A lot of traffic coming southbound on the 215, trucker traffic, motorists coming from Devore, the high desert communities. Again, this stretch of the 215 meets up with the 15 through the Cajon Pass and takes people. A tank driving by there, as you can see, and he's just sitting up on the ledge here on this overpass of the southbound side of the 215 freeway here in San Bernardino, the far northern portion of San Bernardino, near the border of
They need to block that
CHP
traffic.
units below, underneath that overpass, and also on the northbound side of the 215. Now they are holding traffic. We'll widen out a little bit on this street, and we're going to try to get you a street here. If we pan left just a little bit and look in to that intersection, if we push in, we don't want to lose this. We'll see what street that is. But as you can see, he's just deciding to position himself on that overpass. And here's the street right here. It is Palm Avenue. So this is Palm Avenue in San Bernardino. Palm Avenue, east and westbound, blocked here. 215 freeway, though, where he's sitting on southbound side, is still open at this time. I'm still waiting to see if a CHP unit. I am seeing one up ahead now. Now there is a cruiser, a CHP cruiser, who appears to be making his way up so he can block traffic to keep things safe. And there's an officer there doing just that. So the suspect, the stolen vehicle suspect, this is a standoff situation now, guys. He's on the overpass here of the 215 freeway southbound in San Bernardino. Palm Avenue down below, it's blocked. Both sides of the 215 north and southbound are now blocked to keep motorists safe.
Yep, so now they block all the traffic.
Jim Holcomb is with us as
cars
well.
up.
He's sitting, he's
Get
waiting.
some non-lethal weapons ready.
What do you do now?
Well, right now, Rick, again, the priorities have changed. We started out trying to capture him. Now they're going to go into the mode of trying to protect him. I think he's very, very tactically positioned himself on that off-ramp. If he was not there, the officers could simply approach him, give him orders to get down on the ground and use less lethal weapons. At this point right now, they have to consider the fact that he might try to jump over that that freeway. Now, he may or may not have that. It may just be a tactic on his part, but that is something they have to deal with. Now they're in the let's protect him mode, and let's get this guy into custody. He likes to stay on that on the freeway. He knows, I think he pretty much knows that he's got him at bay because of what I just said, and the item in his hand is a weapon, is considered a weapon if he uses it aggressively toward those officers. Although I believe they could get close enough to use less lethal on him. The farther he gets away from the edge of that freeway, the more likely that'll be able to be done.
Oh, they're bringing K-9
for those
up.
of you who are just joining us, it is the 10 o'clock hour of Fox 11 News. Roxy Carpadian here with Steve Edwards, Rick Dickert up above, giving us this
take a look.
vantage
You
point.
see the K-9 officer now. You see the K-9. You see the dog getting closer. They're talking to him.
They're trying to make
communicating.
communications with this suspect. This started off as a pursuit, a stolen vehicle in Beaumont, made its way all the way here. Now we're on the overpass here on the 215 freeway.
He's pointing, Jim Holcomb.
Yeah, just real quickly here now. If they can get that dog close enough to him, he stays in the center of that freeway, and they release the dog can get on him quick enough to take him down. Those other officers could then get him before he could get to the edge of the freeway.
Is that a sword in his hand?
Right now.
Is that a sword?
What is that?
Now it looks like possibly a windshield wiper or something he got out of the car. I don't believe it was. It looks to me like either a windshield wiper or an antenna, something of that, because it looked like he pulled
or
it
he
out,
could
like
grab that dog and throw the dog over the overpass.
So right now, very tactically,
because I think that happened in Sacramento, in West Sacramento.
Him in conversation.
I think
when
somebody
they're going to probably release that
was
dog,
in a pursuit over the causeway back in the day.
All they have to do is just prevent him from getting to one side or the other. So if he moves over to the side of that freeway,
the dude threw the K-9 over the
position right now,
over the overpass on the causeway.
A little bit closer to him, and as you can see, they've got two other officers. Looks like one of them with a beanbag shotgun down to the right, which would be less lethal force. And of course,
there goes a streamer in the middle of the road. You see the streamer?
Take him down if they can just get him before he can move over to one side or the other.
So we were watching his body language as he pulled over and got out of the car and made his way onto the overpass here on the 215.
Can I go back to this?
Even took a seat for a while, tried to kind of figure out
him from getting to one side or the other. So if he moves over to the side of that freeway, beanbag shotgun down.
Look at that! Look at the person with the yellow vest. That's me.
To the right, which
that would be me.
Force, and of course they have another officer there, so they got enough people there to take him down if they can just get him before he can move over to one side or the other.
So we were watching his body language as he pulled over and got out of the car and made his way onto the overpass here on the 215. Even took a seat for a while, tried to kind of figure out the scene, figure out what to do next. Very casual, very nonchalant. Although watching him now, it seems as though his body language is changing a bit with the way he's communicating with the officers and whatever he's holding, whether it's a windshield wiper or a stick or a sword, what have you. It seems like he's waving it, getting a little bit more intense and aggressive.
Well, what we call this is negotiation, Roxia. We're talking to him, he's talking to them. It's almost like a car salesman. As long as he's talking to you and you're talking to him, that's a good thing, no matter what he's saying. The K-9 officer, you can see him kneel down right down there with his dog. So he's got a little release clip on that dog's collar, and he's just assessing and judging how fast can his dog, as he knows his dog, how fast can his dog get to that individual?
They say it's not a sword or a machete. They're saying it's
of that freeway overpass, and that's what's going on right now.
A windshield wiper.
When is he going to release that dog?
Right. So how does this work? How long do you negotiate?
That's an open subject. As long as this guy is talking, if he's getting a little bit more compliant, if you're making some kind of headway with him, it just all depends on what the negotiations are. But somewhere down in there, the decision is going to be made that this guy is not going to be able to get talked down, and that dog will probably get released.
We're looking at the distance. I can't figure out because, from our view, it may not be completely accurate. But that dog can cover that ground really quickly.
Yeah, if you figure the lane, the stripe between the lanes is about 13 to 15 feet, I'd say he's maybe about 25 feet. I think that dog could definitely make contact with him before he could get to the one side of the freeway or the other. So at this point, they're trying to give this guy the opportunity. They're trying to talk to him. They want him to comply. All he needs to do, quite frankly, is just throw down that item he has in his hand and get down on the ground or do what they tell him to do, and it's over peacefully. I don't think we've had any accidents in this. This would be a peaceful conclusion. But their main concern right now is his safety. And once again, they've now switched over from the predator mode, going after him, to the protection mode, where they're worried about this guy's safety right now.
Jim, stand by. We're going to check in with Gigi. She's actually on the ground there. Gigi, how far are you away from what's actually happening in front of us?
We are just about 50 yards away. I can clearly see the suspect standing in the middle of the freeway. He is holding something in his hands. Police officers earlier thought it was a crowbar. Now, this is a very tense situation because the freeway, the traffic is stopped on the southbound side, but he is just feet away from people that are on the 215 north, and traffic is at a standstill. The freeway is packed. There's several trucks, a FedEx truck, and just a lot of people in their cars just feet from him. Now, we are seeing also police have the K9. They're still hoping this is going to come to a peaceful end, but I can tell you a very tense moment here on the 215 freeway as this stolen car suspect stands in the middle of the freeway. You can see him walking around now, this pursuit lasting over 2 hours and coming to an end here. We don't know if the suspect ran out of gas. He appears to be signaling with his hands. He may be saying something. We can't hear what he's saying from here, but he continues to stand and to make quick movements, and that, of course, is never good. That's something a police officer doesn't want to see. It's something we don't want to see. We hope that he keeps his hands where everybody can see them and, of course, give up. He is surrounded by police officers at this moment. As a matter of fact, we're seeing a highway patrol SUV, the white SUV, that's going to come into the picture, and it looks like police are about to make a move there. That white SUV going against traffic on the 215 South, just pulling up there behind the suspect, but he has still not given up, even though he is surrounded by police officers. And again, the biggest concern here is all the folks stuck on the 215 North that are just stuck there and sitting in their cars, unable to move.
Gigi, let's talk about the people that are stuck there, because from what I can see, it looks like people have come out of their cars and they're standing behind the suspect watching all of this transpire, which cannot be a safe thing to do. Gigi?
I'm sorry, we had a little audio difficulty there.
Okay,
We've
what's
got
that
police
yellow?
officers
See the
standing
guy
there.
with the
Of course,
yellow
that's
gun?
something that you don't want to see. That just
Yellow
adds
gun, what is
another
that? I think that's
level
less
of
lethal.
security problems for police officers trying to deal with this suspect. You can see a police officer crouched down in front of him.
Hey,
another one walking up behind him. They
1916.
do have him surrounded. They must believe now that he does not have a weapon in his hands because they are very close to him. He's got something in his hands, though, I'm being told, but I'm unable to see what it is from here. We're trying to get a clear look. He still has something, but I don't believe it's a weapon because he is surrounded by police officers now. They're very close to him, and you can see them now almost making a circle around him, weapons drawn, and hoping, and you've got on the, what you can't see right now as we remain on this shot is
DWJ
the
getting them
highway
steps in.
patrol officers on the opposite side of the freeway.
No.
Okay, we're moving our camera to give you a better shot.
All right, yeah, we'll take it here because we probably can see better than you.
As I was saying, what you can't see on the opposite side of the freeway is highway patrol officers trying to control the traffic and trying to keep people in their cars and not allowing them to get out, because that's just going to make a dangerous situation even more dangerous.
Gigi, I don't know if you can see what's going on specifically.
He's over the railing.
He's over the railing, threatening to jump. He's controlling. He's controlling.
He appears to be sitting
Go ahead.
on the center divider, and I've lost audio connection with you. I believe you can still hear me. I have lost audio with you, but you can see him there.
Look,
just,
they get ready to grab him. Just
erratically.
sneak
This
up
guy's
behind
been doing
him.
100
Sneak up
miles
behind
per
him.
hour.
Boom!
Swerving, and they've
Dude,
got him.
got
and
him.
they're taking him down right now. You see him
Big
surrounded
boy
there by
grabbed him.
CHP officers, and he continues to struggle. He's putting up
Big
quite
boy
a fight
grabbed
with
him.
officers.
Get him out
One
the-
of the
get
officers
Big boy
knocked
out the
to
way.
ground there.
Get Big
It looks
boy
like
out the
they
way.
do have him down. They do have him down, and appears that he should be in handcuffs now any
Big
moment.
boy grabbed
but they
him.
do have him down as he continues to struggle
like,
with
"I'll get
police,
him."
even though he is clearly outnumbered.
Wow.
All
Big
right,
boy
so
grabbed him.
There's the end of that.
Ending.
We don't know if he was going to jump. He certainly was threatening. It looked like it at that moment.
You don't take any chances at that point.
But they got him before he could. They snuck up behind him. And as you look at this, there's a lot of drama here, but also look at it from another perspective. All the resources put into this effort right now. Jim Holcomb, you there? Hello, Jim Holcomb.
Yeah, I've got you, Steve. Go.
I'm talking about all the resources that are tied up for this moment.
Right, and once again, law enforcement's role changes throughout this thing. They have a lot of resources that were committed to this thing, and at the end of it, you saw a very, very textbook operation. Other than the fact that he went over like I suspected he would and got on that ledge, they were able to get his attention in one direction while one officer got him from behind, and then they did a team takedown with about 6 officers there, and were able to take him down pretty successfully without hurting him in any way. That's the object at the end of the game, is to get the guy in custody with the least amount of force that you can possibly use. This was very textbook, and I got to take my hat off to everybody. They certainly took their time with him.
All right, let's see what's next. Let's see what's next. Let's see what's next.
Breaking news right now.
All right,
we
watch
are
this.
above a scene where
Sheriff's
a suspect
Department
has
stole
stolen
the
a sheriff's deputy's police
car.
cruiser,
Police stole
and
the sheriff's
now
deputy's car.
deputies are in pursuit of that suspect. Let's go straight up to Sky Fox overhead for a look at what we're seeing and what we know so far. Justin O'Brien is up in Sky Fox with the very latest. Justin?
Yeah, g'day, Sandra. We're still trying to confirm that this is the stolen sheriff's vehicle we're looking for. It came across the scanner as a deputy saying somebody's jumped in my vehicle. It turned out to be an African-American female. And the deputy was reporting that they were now pursuing, or he was in another deputy's vehicle, and they were pursuing his own vehicle. The concern is there is a loaded shotgun inside this vehicle.
It stops at 90 minutes,
that's the concern.
We're going to keep going.
And we're currently off Delamo Boulevard here.
Delamo Boulevard, and where
Sandra.
are we? In Carson at this point? I know this started in Compton from what we can gather from information on the scanners at this point. We are looking at what looks like the rooftop number 743 of that stolen
I posted the video.
cruiser.
Have you guys seen my
and
video?
Clearly this is a very concerning situation.
I'll put the link
and
to
you
it
had
in the
mentioned,
chat.
Justin, that those deputies hopped in another cruiser behind it and following suit.
I apologize, Sandra. It's a little difficult to with so many sheriff's vehicles out here to actually nail down which one it is. There is a number, I believe it's 743, so I'm trying to locate that.
All right, so this all happened, according to what we know so far, at around 1:30 this afternoon in the Compton area. This came across the sheriff deputy scanner that a suspect, a female African-American, took a patrol car, a cruiser, from a sheriff's deputy. I believe they were in a parked situation. We, of course, don't know the details at this point, but then once they realized that she had allegedly taken this cruiser and started leaving the scene, the deputies jumped into another cruiser behind and is in pursuit of that vehicle right now.
Yeah,
the big concern, there's loaded shotgun in that vehicle. Obviously, we don't know whether it is locked up for storage, as usually they are in these types of situations where it is in a patrol vehicle. But clearly, that is a big concern right now. And of course, deputies want to make sure they track down this female suspect and this driver. Again, we are looking at Sky Fox aerials right now. This started in Compton. However, where are we now, Justin? All right, as he was mentioning before, I'm not sure if he can hear me, but we are looking at the vantage point from Sky Fox right now. That police cruiser that has stolen the sheriff's deputy's patrol cruiser, I should say, is right now going down that major thoroughfare right there. It looks like perhaps a little bit high rate of speed, but going with the flow of traffic. Thankfully, there are not too many cars in the way right now. And again, other deputies are in pursuit of this stolen cruiser. And you can see that that stolen cruiser right there going through the intersection. We want to get further information in terms of where we're looking at right now, which neighborhoods we're looking at. This started in Compton. But Justin, if you could hear me up high in Sky Fox, what do we know right now? Looks like they're picking up speed here.
Somebody stole a police car.
All right, looks like we're working out our audio issues from Sky Fox. We have Kevin Takumi, another Fox 11 colleague on the phone who could tell us a little more. Kevin, what's your perspective?
Put the prayer hands in the chat.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is it's moving. They made a turn northbound on Cherry. We're into the North Long Beach area. Northbound on Cherry, the vehicle's moving towards the 91 freeway here. So it's they turn northbound and they're moving to the left of where Sky Fox is looking at. So, but there's two sheriff's airships over this, kind of watching this vehicle, trying to keep track of it as it moves through. But you can see there's a lot of cross traffic, but those Sky Fox is trying to pick up the pursuit once again. But we're watching the tracking of the airship here, coming up on the 91 freeway, northbound on Cherry, coming up on the 91 freeway here. So let's just see what that suspect does, whether they get onto the freeway or if they stay on surface streets here. So all you can see is right there, just went through that intersection here, just through Artesia here, still moving northbound. We're just about to hit the 91 freeway, and looks like we're going to get on the 91 freeway going eastbound. 91 freeway eastbound here. And speed's picking up. Looking at the traffic up ahead, it is pretty light on that 91 freeway. We start heading towards the 605 freeway, and like I said earlier, their biggest concern is any weapons in the car, and if they usually they are locked up. Those weapons are locked to the center console, but since the keys are in the vehicle, that is the danger there if this comes to a stop. But usually those weapons are locked in the center console.
Yeah, there's a release switch in the car that you flick a switch and it unlocks those guns.
Them about 70 miles an hour.
You don't have to take a key to unlock it. There's a switch.
Freeway, and
you just got to know where that switch
is. Boulevard next, and then the 605 very soon.
And what is the big unknown as well is look at the erratic driving right now that we're looking at, and a lot of the people who are driving on the road as well, fellow motorists, they have no idea that this is a stolen cruiser from a sheriff's deputy, and right now they're just seeing that this cruiser is going at a high rate of speed, 105 miles per hour right now, according to
how
what
much
we're
is the
clocking
advertising?
on Sky Fox. And clearly this is a dangerous situation just in terms of driving a vehicle that fast and also not knowing for other motorists around them that this is in fact not a sheriff deputy behind the wheel of this cruiser right now. So anything erratic is just certainly the big unknown right now. And again, as you mentioned, the fact that there are weapons inside this vehicle, it's the big concern. But we did see, as you pulled out earlier from that shot when we were just over Long Beach, we did see several other cruisers in pursuit of the suspect, as well as I thought I saw a motor officer on a bike as well. Okay, there you see
Brett
in pursuit right there a couple of more sheriff deputies following,
but they may not know
and
how to turn them
hopefully
on.
Catching up to that suspect. But again, we're marking this vehicle as 743 in terms of the rooftop number. There is a red flashing light on top of it as well. Again, this all started at 1:30 in the Compton area, I believe. A female suspect jumping into that cruiser and then taking off in it. And so clearly we don't know the motive at this point, and we don't know what the situation is. But again, now going into the Long Beach area, Kevin, what else can you tell us?
Yeah, you can see as we're starting to approach the 605 freeway, the CHP has also been notified about this pursuit as well, that it is a stolen black and white, that it still has its weapons in the vehicle. But you can see the person who stole this vehicle, the lights, so at least the lights and sirens are on, or at least the lights are on, we can tell. The lights are on, but speed's approaching, going back and forth here between about 90 to 100 miles an hour, staying in that lane as we go eastbound on the 605 freeway here, actually eastbound on the 91 freeway. And once again, looking at the maps ahead, traffic very light all the way through to the 5 freeway. So you can see there are other officers that are trying to catch up to this, to stay with it, but there are 2 airships over this. There's two LA sheriff's airships above this, and I believe I heard that possibly there was a CHP airship that was taking off as well, and they are out of Fullerton. So they will be approaching Fullerton here very soon as well.
Are those speeds correct? It's clocking 112 miles per hour now?
Yes, that is correct. Both what SkyTrack you see is tracking it as, and that is exactly what the airship and the ground units are calling out as well. So those are real speeds there. Speeds going up and down, going from 90 to 100, 115 miles at some points here. But that is the correct speed that you see up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen right there.
And that's the big alarming thing about this, because of the fact that this driver, this female suspect, behind the wheel right there of that stolen cruiser, driving very erratically right there. Now you're seeing high rates of speed, backing down at times, and we saw her blow through an intersection as well, closely almost hitting somebody else, and we have no idea. Look at that. Thankfully, there is light traffic at this point, at this hour, at 1:55 right now, but clearly we have no idea the intent, the motive, anything behind this situation. And in terms of the mind of the driver, this suspect right now going, again, picking up the speed on the 605, as you mentioned, but wow.
We're still on the 91.
91 rather,
just passing Carmenita. We're in the Cerritos area here. So 80 to 100 miles an hour in the Cerritos area. Traffic, luckily, relatively light at this point. Most of the traffic is going at about your regular 65 to 80 miles an hour, but you can see how fast that this cruiser is going by all of that other traffic. Now, the black and whites are still significantly behind because they're driving much more safely here, trying to stay out of collisions. They are staying pretty much in that carpool lane, trying to keep it clear here. But those speeds jumping up and down here, crossing that 100-mile-an-hour point. We're going to be hitting the 5 freeway in about a minute here. Eastbound 91 freeway here will be coming up on Knott's Berry Farm, so we're starting to get into the Buena Park area. So very quickly out of Cerritos and into the Buena Park area coming up. Knott will be next, and then Beach Boulevard, and then the 5 freeway.
Yeah, you can see just by the rate of speed right there, clocking 101, 107 at some point. So clearly very erratic driving. And I'm now joined by my colleague Marla Tejas here, who's on the desk and looking at this as well. This reminds us of what we saw just a week ago, Marla, of another suspect stealing a black and white, another cruiser in the Antelope Valley area. Obviously, that ended really tragically, and it ended in a fatal situation. We don't know what this suspect is thinking right now behind the wheel of this vehicle.
Yeah, Sandra, when I stepped into the newsroom and I heard that another stolen cruiser was now being pursued, I thought, oh my goodness, it was less than a week ago that we did see that play out in the Antelope Valley, and that resulted in that young man's death. We're still, of course, investigating that, and now we have this one to follow, and this one is extremely dangerous, as you pointed out multiple times. Speeds well above 100 miles per hour. We're seeing many near misses as well. All of these unsuspecting drivers, and also you pointed out, thank goodness, and so has Kevin, of course, that traffic is light, and as this person does whatever they can, and we do know it's a female suspect, according to authorities, to evade getting captured.
Absolutely. The big concern, obviously, we've been talking about is the fact that there are loaded weapons, or at least one loaded shotgun inside that police cruiser, obviously with the female suspect in possession of the key in order to operate that black and white. The thinking is that she does have access to a loaded weapon inside that cruiser, and that is why the response to this is not being taken lightly at all. And look at the speeds right now, obviously wide open on the 91 as it approaches. Where are we now, Kevin?
So we just passed the 5 freeway interchange. Looks like they're committed to going eastbound on the 91. So we're getting into that Anaheim area here. Once again, freeway looks very clear all the way out towards the Corona area. There might be a little bit of slowdown up ahead here, but once again, you can see speed still running up in that high end of 90 to 100 miles an hour here, coming up just passing. Looks like we're going to be just passing Brookhurst, and once again, we just passed the 5 split and eastbound 91 coming into the Anaheim Fullerton area. So still The Sheriff's Department is still chasing this. They are still on it, but CHP has been advised that it takes them a little time to get into position for a pursuit that is moving this quickly. So the Anaheim, actually the Orange County CHP, we're trying to get into position here. Hopefully they can catch into it and stand by once we get nearer to the 57. Skyclock's trying to get a look through that.
Yeah, whoever checked that car out,
but you can see somebody moving around, one person moving around inside there. It is reported that is a female that hopped in there and took off in the deputy's vehicle.
Take the keys out and lock the doors when you get out.
90 miles an hour here. We're just past Euclid, and once again, we have light traffic up ahead. That carpool lane is pretty well open as you make your way eastbound all the way into the Corona area.
Kevin, thank you. I want to quickly say a big thank you to Sandra Endo, who brought you this coverage just a few minutes ago when we jumped on the air. She is signing off for the day. She's been here, of course, since very early this morning. So it's Marla Tejas here on the desk as we are now just hit 2 o'clock. Kevin Takumi with me to cover this pursuit of a stolen LA County Sheriff's deputy cruiser. This is the second time that this has happened in less than a week. It was 6 days ago that we saw the other one play out in the Antelope Valley. That one turned deadly. This one on the 91 East, as it has been for a long time now, from LA County now into Orange County. You just mentioned the exits we've passed, and our Extreme Nav technology shows us that we're just passing East Street, Raymond Avenue in Orange County. Kevin, we're also getting word from officials that even though that there are weapons locked up, even though that this female suspect behind the wheel, as we're now off the 91, we exited here. It looks like Raymond Avenue as we're skirting on by, it's come to a stop. Trying to get by these vehicles, Kevin. We understand that it takes a whole other set of keys to unlock where those weapons are within the cruiser. So in other words, this suspect would not have access to those weapons that are locked up, which of course is a huge relief.
Yeah, that is a good sign. You see, now we're getting off into surface streets again here. We're northbound on Raymond. We're in the Anaheim and Fullerton kind of areas. Suspect is driving back and forth using the opposite lanes of traffic here and keeping up those speeds there on these surface streets. Now we're making a turn going westbound on Orangethorpe, and that's going to keep us just north of the 91 freeway here, but moving back westbound. And like I said, this is going to run us alongside in the Fullerton area north of the 91 freeway. We'll be passing through the Fullerton Municipal Rail Yard where they do pickups for Amtrak and whatnot. But you see speeds 90 miles an hour here. We are still on surface streets going by cars that are going about 35 miles an hour. Like they're standing still here and coming up to an intersection. You see
Hannah says, "I'd hope there would be more secure ways for the pew-pews." Yeah, there's basically
that's going to kind of take us back towards
like locking
the 91
mechanisms
freeway.
inside the cars.
We'll see if
and back in my day, there was a switch. You just click this kill switch, and it would unlock it, and then you could just open it up and take it out. Now they're saying you got to unlock it with a key. Okay, well maybe that is the case. Something going on with the stream.
So there's not going to be much more of this.
Yeah, because clearly the suspect doesn't know that she is headed toward a dead-end street. So we're going to see how this all plays out. As you saw the black and white, there's that dead end now into this yard here of, I'm not sure which kind of, some sort of a construction lumber yard, perhaps. You see the work trucks.
Yeah, we're in a commercial.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, they're in a commercial yard and zigzagging through this commercial yard here,
trying to find their way out.
And yeah, just trying to find their way out now, kind of parallel on the railroad tracks there almost, and then cut back out. And still, they're talking about setting up a containment of everything here. Okay, it's about almost getting stuck in the dirt here. So they're trying to block off the exit to make sure that she is not able to get out of this. Hopefully, they're going to try to contain this in the yard here.
I hope so. I hope that they've now blocked off the entranceway with other black and whites. It's going to be.
He's telling her, pull over.
They've just,
okay.
Nope. Of course, we've seen that multiple times.
and they were not able to block off the entranceway. So while we thought that was going to be a surefire way to end this, it doesn't. Oh, there's the pit.
Okay,
there's the pit.
They're trying to
he
pit
pitted
it
it
there.
wrong. He's supposed to hit at the back wheel, not at the driver's door.
The suspect trying to make her way back out. Okay, so they have. So now they've got the suspect surrounded right now. Yes. So this is East Commercial Street and North Olive Street, and you see plenty of deputies out. Obviously, their guns drawn. This is a very dangerous situation because
now
she's using the vehicle as a deadly weapon. There are weapons inside, although we understand that she doesn't have access to the weapons. If you're just joining us,
they're going to block it in with another. They're going to block it in with another one.
Yep.
So now they're going to block it in, and then they're going.
Dude, you're supposed to put.
Oh my
and
goodness!
The car's
so this
locked.
Deputy just got out, and
he put it in reverse.
He didn't put it in gear.
Lock it into gear.
Let's watch that again. Watch that again.
Thank goodness he was able to get back in there. Okay,
Let's watch
so.
that again.
To make her way back out. Okay, so they have plenty of deputies out. Obviously, their guns drawn. This is a very dangerous situation because she's using the vehicle as a deadly weapon. There are weapons inside, although we understand that she doesn't have access to the weapons.
Watch this.
If you're just joining us,
they're going to block it in with another. They're going to block it in with another one.
Yep.
You're supposed to put it in park, set the emergency brake.
So now they're gonna block it in,
and the doors are locked. And the doors are locked,
and
the keys is in the ignition.
Just got out.
And he ain't got his spare key.
He didn't put it in park. He didn't lock it into gear.
He
didn't lock it into gear. Is he going to put the car back?
Thank goodness he was able to get back in there. Okay, so it's just a matter of time, but extremely dangerous situation. You see all of the deputies now at the rear, guns drawn. It doesn't appear that the driver will be able to carry on, at least in the vehicle. Will the...
Now they blocked it off substantially in front, so there's no way, even though that other SUV rolled back, the road is completely blocked up ahead. So you can see there's an arrest team that's kind of putting their team together there alongside, as well as a shield. So they may try to come up to the vehicle and just try to pull the suspect out there. They're trying to clear everybody, all the other bystanders downrange of this, what's going on right now, but they don't know if the suspect had it, but it looks like they're going to move in here. They're going to try to, they'll either break the window or they'll just try to open, they can open the door themselves. They have general keys that they can just open the door and try to get the suspect out.
They're going to yank the suspect out.
They're pull her out.
Put her in handcuffs.
Put her in handcuffs, take her into custody. It doesn't look like there's a lot of struggle going on there, which is a good sign. So it looks like the person is just giving up at this point. So deputies putting the cuffs on her, and so it looks like this is going to come to a stop here. And with all those high speeds, I didn't hear of any collisions that happened throughout this pursuit, especially with those speeds of 100 miles an hour or more.
Yeah, upwards of 100 miles per hour, 120 at one point, and plenty of near misses. So, yes, now the suspect is on her feet in handcuffs.
All right, let's see what else we got in here. Yes, did you guys see this?
We are following breaking news. LA County Sheriff's deputies and the CHP are tracking 2 motorbikes.
Gil Levis overhead in Sky 5. Gil, what can you tell us?
Oh, John and Sam, this pursuit started a little while ago. We're not sure if it was the sheriff went into pursuit or the California Highway Patrol. We believe possibly it's the sheriff's that got into pursuit of the blue motorcycle that you see there. They're calling them dirt bikes. The white motorcycle there joined in during the pursuit, and at one point one of the 2 motorcycles tried to assault a motor officer from the California Highway Patrol or a sheriff's motor officer, not sure which, but they tried to hit him. might have knocked him down or knocked him off course during the pursuit and then fled. It's been on surface streets for the most part, but now on the 60 freeway eastbound from the East LA interchange.
Pursuit
the
of
two
motorbikes.
motorcycles
Welcome
were
in,
going
everybody.
at one point
this is
on the
Lance,
710
the PI,
freeway,
Sacramento's number
southbound
one
in the northbound lanes.
live streamer.
Once it exited
Today,
the East
I'm
LA
on the
area,
walking treadmill trying to get my 10,000 steps.
Area now, eastbound 60
I'm about
freeway approaching
3/4
the
of the way
710.
there.
And
so
they're going
we're
in
gonna
and
watch
out of
this.
traffic.
This will be our
They're
last one here, folks.
unopposed
I
by
think
the
this will last
CHP.
about 30
CHP
minutes.
got a unit behind
So,
it, but it's a vehicle, not a motorcycle.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we upload additional videos.
The helicopter overhead is keeping an eye on the
We're just
pursuit
kind of
as
critiquing
well as
different
us.
pursuits.
You can see the lead motorcycle there. He looks like he's on a cell phone.
I'm not going to tell you
And
what
the
happens
blue
on
one,
it,
that's
but
the initial
they're chasing a couple
motorcycle
dirt
that
bikes.
the law enforcement went into pursuit on. But now, cutting through traffic, splitting lanes, but going at a relatively slow speed. Let me bring up our map system so that you can get an eye on that. But number one lane going through traffic here. Here comes the map, so you have an idea of the. There goes the CHP at the top of your screen. So they're trying to get units in position to try to
somebody
intercept,
asked, what am I barbecuing?
But, very tricky to
Some
get
ribs and
two
chicken?
motorcycles to pull over, especially in heavy traffic.
And
You
wife's
say
going to be going to
earlier
the
what
store,
the
so she's
initial
probably going to
want
get some
is
corn
on
on the
these two
cob
guys?
and maybe some hot dogs or something and hot links.
You know, we're working on the one. It could
Scott,
be that
just subscribe.
the
Thank you,
dirt
Scott.
bike is
Welcome
not
to the
registered to be
family.
on surface
Scott,
streets.
way to go.
That might have been
Everybody,
the cause
welcome,
or
Scott.
the
Tell
reason
them hello,
for
Scott.
the law enforcement to pull the vehicle over. But we're hearing that it definitely was the blue motorcycle that tried to hit the motor officer during the pursuit.
Tried to hit an officer on a motorbike. I assume that is still assault with a deadly weapon.
What we normally do is we monitor the police and fire scanner calls.
It's definitely assault on a peace officer
here in the Sacramento region.
It was a motorcycle. It was the blue motorcycle versus a motor officer. So it's unclear if it was a CHP officer or a sheriff's motor unit that was assaulted there, but definitely they're saying now that it's the blue motorcycle. The white one just jumped into the pursuit in the mix. So now they're out after both of them. They've been sticking together. They haven't separated, and they're continuing eastbound from the 710 now on the 60 freeway.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're willing to strike a police officer, well, of course, that really ups the ante here. Are we just in tracking mode right now, or do we still have black and whites behind them, Gil?
How long have we been live? 2 hours?
Yeah, the black and whites are trying to get behind them, John, but the problem is all the traffic. I'll widen out to a white shot. And you can see right now they're in the center divider lane there, and not ground units in their
Idaho
vehicle.
For life.
Yeah,
it is. I'm gonna make it a routine.
We'll see if they try to bring in some motor officers from the California Highway Patrol
them, so I'm not just picking here, picking
but
there.
at this
I'll have
point,
a list
like I
of
said, they're unopposed because they're able to do exactly what they just did. They go all the way across lanes,
I can do this
in between
while I'm
vehicles,
on my
even
my
go the
walk
wrong
on the
way.
treadmill.
So we'll see what happens.
Still
They're
have
going
my
all the way
computer
over
up while
here.
I'm
They
doing
might be
my other
exiting
laptop where I can get some work done.
the freeway. We'll see what happens.
That's right. 60 freeway eastbound, it looks like. They're near the Atlantic Boulevard, and we've seen them on their cell phones, weaving through traffic. And of course, now this pursuit involves an assault on a police officer after one of those bikers tried
exiting
to...
Anton.
Yeah, exiting. Okay.
It's dangerous
Possibly
enough riding a motorcycle in Los Angeles because so many people are on their phones or distracted and maybe don't move over to the side to let people pass. But these guys were weaving. They're not wearing any helmets. They don't have any protective gear on them. One guy's on his phone, riding with one hand at times.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh, cutting across in front of a car, turning left.
Wrong way down.
Opposite.
traffic.
Oh my
What is
gosh.
he doing? Dude, you are
This
just,
is
that's
very
dangerous.
dangerous.
Atlantic Boulevard. We got one CHP unit that's behind the two. Now the white one came across. They're going to jump back on the freeway here.
Wow.
See the CHP there can't go across that center divider there, so he's going to lose them here. But the airship's overhead, so motorcycles very tough to keep up with in a pursuit.
Yeah. All right, well, you saw them driving in oncoming traffic there on South Atlantic Boulevard. They're back on the 60 freeway westbound right now. And as Gil mentioned, that black and white, CHP black and white that was behind them when they exited the freeway, not able to jump over the center divider there to stay right on their tail. But law enforcement helicopter overhead tracking from above. So we still have eyes on these two suspects, but the black and whites are having a tough time keeping up with them as they continue to weave through traffic.
My question is, how do we see this end peacefully and without injury Because it's not like you can throw a spike strip in front of a motorbike. You know, you just kind of have to hope they run out of gas or surrender. Because I'm not really sure how involved officers can get physically without physically harming these riders.
Well, now we got black and whites right on their tail. That's CHP right there. You can tell that he is keeping up with them for sure. But those bikes are fast, and as we've seen, they really are weaving through traffic.
Absolutely. It looks like they're transitioning now, John and Sam, to the southbound 710 freeway. They had a lot of open traffic ahead of them on that westbound 60, but now they're going southbound 710. And you know that 710 is very heavy always at this hour. But we'll see what they try to do. They're going to split lanes. That's going to do it for that CHP unit. He cannot keep up. So we'll see if we get a motor officer. Now, a motor officer will be able to get right alongside them, do exactly what they're doing here, and keep up with them. That could intimidate them and bring them to a stop even. So we'll see if CHP engages or even the sheriffs.
Hey, Shannon, welcome in.
And you know that they are going to do their best to stay on top of these guys, especially after one of those bikers apparently tried to strike one of the motor officers early on during the pursuit. They are now back up on the freeway, weaving through traffic. Rush hour traffic, no less, 710 South right now, approaching, what is that, Whittier Boulevard. We're in East Los Angeles right here. But yeah, they're sticking together. We see one of them constantly looking down at a phone. You can look at them, they're talking to each other right now. They may be trying to plan something, split up perhaps, to try and evade these officers.
Oh, but see, that's what I'm talking about. You just have one car that kind of goes outside the lane and then...
When he's
hey, Captain.
And you also see the...
Oh, he's trying to stop him.
The biker
definitely tried to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Gil, do you think he was trying to get involved, or is he also just kind of a reckless driver and getting frustrated in traffic?
He's probably just pissed off at these guys.
I think he was getting involved. It looked like he pulled over intentionally in front of him and hit the brakes. Now that vehicle has exited, so it looked like the driver was aware of the pursuit and tried to intervene.
The biker on the white bike right there, you can tell he keeps looking at his cell phone. He's holding on the handlebars right now with just one hand.
You can't do that.
Driving recklessly, weaving through traffic. We're still on the 710 South right now.
He's calling his buddies, probably.
Yeah,
calling
he's trying to communicate with somebody.
We're chased by the police.
We don't, Gil, if we widen out, do we have any black and whites right now, or are we back in tracking mode?
Back in tracking mode for sure. Look at all this traffic here. It looks like they're going to continue on the 710 South. There's the sheriff's helicopter that went through our shot there. But look at how agile these motorcycles are. No way for a CHP vehicle to keep up with it unless you use the shoulder, but that's pretty iffy.
Yeah, it's dangerous. And for those just joining us, this pursuit of two motorbikes started at 3:55 this afternoon. Again, not totally sure why an officer initially tried to pull over the blue motorbike, but the person on the blue motorbike tried to hit an officer, we understand, and that's what continued this pursuit. But as for the initial want, we're not quite sure yet.
Still working to get that information.
This is bizarre. This is incredibly dangerous. I don't know if anyone else's anxiety is through the roof watching these guys kind of recklessly on motorbikes, one-handed on the phone, weaving in and out of traffic, going in opposite direction of traffic. But again, I just don't know how you get these two to stop, especially with physical intervention.
That's right. Gil was saying that they're going to need to rely on the assistance of other motor officers who can essentially stay on their tail, keep up with these two bikers, because as we've seen, those black and white units, they catch up, and these two suspects will drive the wrong way down surface streets and, of course, weave through traffic. The black and white squad cars just aren't able to keep up with these two motorbikes, and certainly dangerous to the public and dangerous for officers who are trying to catch up with these guys. As Sam mentioned, one of the bikers reportedly tried to strike a motor officer during the pursuit early on. It's unclear what the initial want is at this time, but we're working to get that information for you.
Ooh, they threaded that needle, Gil. Have you ever seen a motorbike pursuit like we're seeing now?
Yes, we've covered some motorcycle pursuits where the CHP motorcycle unit will get in there with the pursuit, get right behind them, even get alongside of them, and try to force them to stop. So it is very intimidating to have a motor officer pull up and go, hey, we can keep up with you, we'll stay right with you, and we're gonna pull you over and arrest you eventually. So that's the message that the motor officer can do versus a squad car that just cannot keep up.
I remember you covered the biker that went into the desert in the night, beyond where we were able to cover, I think, that went into almost central California. But this is so dangerous, and it's really hard to watch these two people weave in and out of traffic, no protective gear on their phones, talking to each other at times. And they've been going on for about 40 minutes now. Are you hearing anything over the scanners with sheriffs or CHP?
Well, they're still going to stay in tracking mode with the helicopter overhead. I did hear that the motor officer that was assaulted on his bike had initially had some trouble with, I don't know if it was with the bike, if he fell off, or if he just had to pull off because of what happened. But then he re-engaged them at one point and got back into the pursuit, but then has since left. So it's unclear if that motor officer was injured in any way.
Yeah,
the sergeant
probably told him to back off because he was probably ready to put his hands on somebody.
It's hard to say.
I already know.
We were just hearing
somebody
that on the
hits you and it takes off, and you catch up
so
to him.
We'll see.
You're ready to give him something.
Word on the
and your sergeant says, "No, pull out because you ain't thinking
still
straight."
Still southbound 710, and a lot of traffic up ahead. Just nothing but traffic, at least all the way to
somebody's birthday today.
And we just learned that these bikers, the initial one on all of this, a misdemeanor,
Don't give it away,
a minor traffic
Adam.
infraction.
Don't give it away.
Failure to yield. CHP attempted to stop them.
Don't give it
That's
away.
when they took off. LA County Sheriff's Department then got involved, and apparently during all of that is when one of the bikers attempted to strike one of the motor officers at this point. But now they're looking at numerous felony charges. The least, not to say the least about the danger to the public right now as they weave through traffic heading southbound on the 710. But again, minor traffic infraction, failure to yield, and here we are, felony pursuit.
Wow. And they're flying. Well, it appears they're going really fast because everyone else is going so slow. But is that an accurate speedometer for the motorbike? Are they going about 45 miles per hour?
Yeah, that should be accurate, only because you can see the vehicles that they're passing aren't going very fast due to traffic. So that's pretty accurate as far as the speed goes. You think that they might try to go faster, but see how they're keeping up with the vehicles, passing them not very fast, which is good, but of course still dangerous to everybody involved here.
And
involve yourself with two suspects. We don't know if they're armed. We don't know what their intentions are. Leave it to law enforcement. Right now, an LA County Sheriff's helicopter is overhead tracking these two suspects as officers try to resume a pursuit, stay on their tail, and eventually get them to stop. But as Gil was mentioning, they're probably going to need to rely on motor officers to achieve that because these bikes are able to evade squad cars so easily.
And they've been in the same general area, right, Gil? 710, 5, Monterey Park, Bell.
Yeah, they have been, although now they're heading further south. They're kind of leaving the area this first started in. So it sounds like they're going to leave the area, at least for now, unless they exit and go back the other way.
All right, so we will continue to watch, see if maybe as traffic lightens, we see CHP get involved again and trail behind them. But it's rush hour. I'm getting texts from friends who say they were on the freeway stuck in traffic as these guys just zoom past them. So they have that advantage being on motorbikes here.
Strange to say, but seemingly back to normal now that we have CHP pursuits back on television after all of these devastating wildfires. But nonetheless, a dangerous situation here as these two suspects flee authorities. 710 southbound. Look at the guy right there on the white bike.
He keeps looking,
he's messing with his down at his phone. And yeah, one hand on the handlebars.
Texting in the emergency lane in a pursuit on a motorbike.
He's texting.
Yeah, it would appear that he's texting, trying to communicate with somebody right now. And they are just cruising along.
Is that a map? Is he on a map on his phone? It kind of looked like he was tracking his location with a map or something. But the guy next to him kept pulling his pant leg down, which it seems so incredibly dangerous, all of it, for so many reasons, but they're not focused on the road ahead. They're on their phone, they're adjusting their clothing or whatever. You just can't help but wonder how this will come to an end safely without CHP getting involved, I guess, right now. Gil, I don't know if they're behind them now or getting on the road, but...
Well, the traffic has lightened up here as we approach the 105, and that could help the CHP squad cars get behind him. We'll see what happens, but again, they're so agile they can even stop and turn around and go the opposite direction, and then that didn't work. So, but the motor officers definitely could keep up with them no matter where they go.
Yep, checking
so
their
we'll
views.
see if CHP decides to do that, or if they just decide to stay in tracking mode until they run out of gas or decide to stop.
You have to wonder if they know that they are being tracked right now by Sheriff's Department helicopter. They don't see black and white vehicles, squad cars behind them right now, so maybe they think that they're scot-free and just cruising along. They don't seem too panicked, although, the one guy keeps looking at his phone right there, and we don't know if he's texting, looking at a map. Nonetheless, as they evade officers, they don't look frantic. It certainly looks like they're just cruising along. And you can see they keep turning around, looking behind them, looking to see if there are squad cars behind them right now. But you have to wonder: do they know that a Sheriff's Department helicopter is overhead, following them and recording all their movements right now? Still on the 710 southbound.
And for those who missed it, John just spoke with the desk. At least one of these bikers were wanted for a misdemeanor traffic infraction. Something escalated. The man on the blue motorbike did hit a peace officer also on a motorbike. That officer may have had trouble initially, re-engaged in the pursuit, then hopped off. We don't know if that officer was hurt or if maybe something happened with the bike during that, but that started around 3:55 this afternoon and then took off into a pursuit, which we've seen the 710 to the 5 kind of stuck around the same general area. At one point they got on the 60 and hit a ton of traffic, and then hopped back on to the 710, where we've seen them go south. We saw them in Bell,
right,
Southgate, now Linwood.
At one point, even exiting Atlantic Boulevard and driving into oncoming traffic as they tried to evade a CHP officer right behind them. That officer, though, in a squad car, was not able to cross over the median, the center divide, as he tried to catch that are nowhere in sight right now as they continue on their merry way. 105 westbound.
Yeah, we've seen them reach 60 miles per hour. This is about average from what we've seen, just over 40 miles per hour, zooming past traffic. And they have that advantage, Gil. They can weave, they can change their direction in a moment's notice and evade officers in that way.
It looks like
it must be so frustrating for those officers on the ground when that happens. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like the driver on the white dirt bike there, he's trying to talk to somebody. It looks like he's trying to talk to somebody, and you can see they keep looking over their shoulder to see if there are any units behind them. You have to wonder who they are talking to and what their plan is here. They know that law enforcement is not going to give up on them anytime soon, and you would think that they would know that there's a helicopter overhead, law enforcement, Sheriff's Department helicopter, but you saw the one there on the blue bike look up, so they know they're being followed at this point in the air, and of course they're going to be pursued on the ground as soon as black and whites can catch up to them, but right now they are cruising along still 105 westbound right now in the Linwood area.
I'm just trying to understand or maybe get a read on what kind of motorbikes these are. Maybe get some sort of information about the capacity on the gas tank, see just how far they can go, how many miles until empty. They've been riding since just before 4 o'clock this afternoon, so 45 minutes or so, going at 40 to 60 miles per hour, and it doesn't seem there's any end in sight for these two. No reason to stop. They do keep looking back.
We'll see if they exit here at some point. Looks like they're setting up to do that just now. So it's looking like they're going to be exiting in the Willowbrook area, and they are committed to that off-ramp. Here's the exit. A lot of cars in lanes there, and we'll see which way they go here. South or north or continue west. It's westbound on Imperial.
Oh.
They got another person.
We got oh boy.
Oh,
a couple more people joining.
Wow.
They called for reinforcements, I guess.
Oh my
5.
What is happening?
Well, now we have a better idea of who they were on the phone with.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, look at this.
Oh.
It keeps growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2 initial ones here, and then joined by 4 other ones. 1 on a quad. So
Yeah, one keeps
definitely illegal to be
using hand, flipping off the bird above. It looks like so. Oh, okay.
Fist
little
bump.
handoff there with the
fist bump
quad.
Yeah. Law enforcement certainly going to have their hands, their work cut out for them here as they try to pursue. Right now, aside from perhaps just being in, unlicensed vehicles like that 4-wheeler and some of the other bikes, those guys, to the best of our knowledge, have not committed any crimes, but
wheelies.
Certainly putting on a show.
Oh my, that is so dangerous.
Weave through traffic. You see this kind of stuff though, not just during a pursuit like this, but even oh, look, there's black and white.
Yeah, that should be a sheriff's unit there that they passed.
I wonder if they're just letting them
wheelies.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You see this kind of stuff in Hollywood. You see it, all over the place.
The street takeovers.
The street takeovers, and sometimes
I'm not sure if he was live streaming
Hollywood
or not.
Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard on a Friday night. People will, they're just looking for attention.
I've seen this happen on bicycles.
Wrong side of the road.
All right, wrong side of the road.
We're pulling into a gas station.
Okay, now would be a great time for officers to maybe intervene, but it looks like more people have joined this.
1, 2, 3, 4. God, there's a lot of them.
This isn't good because they're going to refuel and then they're going to have more gas to work this. So we'll see what they do. They're the 2 originals.
You have to wonder. There was it looked like a LA County Sheriff's Department vehicle right there on that surface street as they all passed by. If that,
yes.
And the deputy was in a turning lane, so clearly there was someone in the vehicle. You have to wonder why he wasn't cued in or radioed in on this pursuit. But
okay,
also, how
I did
many
90 minutes
joined in with that
on the first go around. Now I'm at 43 minutes.
Just getting some fuel right here.
And they are refueling.
This would be an opportune time for law enforcement to intervene, but no black and whites in sight. At least not right now.
Even if they did intervene,
so we're all,
how do you even begin to contain 12 dudes on motorbikes and 1 quad?
Well, you go for the 2 that are right there that we see in our frame.
Initiated the pursuit.
That initiated the thing, and then if you can catch some of the other ones, do it.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well, the other one's getting fuel now, so they both are filled up and have plenty of fuel to go for a while. But this is also near or in the LAPD's jurisdiction, so we'll see if LAPD gets involved or not. I'm listening to their radios for this area, and so far I haven't heard much from LAPD
they
on
probably
this.
Don't give a shit.
But looks like they're good to go here in just a second. In which direction?
He's trying to start it.
We'll see. I do hear CHP talking about trying to get units here.
Coincidentally, on Success Avenue.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I do feel like they feel unstoppable at this
Success
point.
Avenue.
What's he shaking his bike for? What does that do?
Here they go. Yep. Off they go. Had plenty of time to pull into this gas station, Chevron station, refuel.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 quads.
What is shaking the bike
6 riders.
Do? Wow.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 possibly.
Oh boy.
I don't know how to ride, but it's so dangerous.
That explains the confidence, I guess, in their behavior over the last hour. Texting, looking over their shoulder, clearly.
Probably calling for
live down the
reinforcements.
street? Okay.
Probably calling for these guys to come put on a spectacle.
Well, one guy has a helmet on. I guess I should say one person, one rider.
Yeah.
Are these still our 2 primary suspects in frame right here, Gil?
Yeah, that's them. I'm trying to get the scanner up for, there we go, I got it, for the CHP. Okay. CHP is saying they're not going to engage, and that's accurate because they're not on the freeway system. They're not going to engage, but sheriffs or LAPD definitely could. Sheriffs, LA County sheriffs are aware of it, and we'll see if they get involved. But all we need is a couple of motor officers here to try to get into this group and break them up.
Yeah, interesting that we're not seeing any black and white squad cars or motor officers in pursuit. We do know that the Sheriff's Department helicopter is overhead.
Imperial Highway in Stanford. So, Gil, what does that look like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
Oh, you think they was pre-mixing their gas? They was trying to mix it up? Okay.
Well, with their presence here in the westbound lanes, they have the full ride on the westbound lanes. The eastbound lanes have some traffic. I would call it
All right,
moderate
Mama G, catch you
at
next
this
time.
point, but they are approaching the 110 here shortly. So we'll see if they decide to jump on the freeway or just stay on surface streets. This was the first person that they were trying to pull over in the pursuit. We're hearing from the helicopter overhead that this is the suspect that actually tried to ram the other motor officer in the pursuit early on, and then he was joined by the one in white, which has dropped out of the picture here. We should see him here in a second, but in any event, let me see if I can find him. They've kind of all mixed up and blended in. We'll stay with the blue motorcycle because that's the initial suspect, but I mean they're joined by my pilot Anton Imler said there's at least 17 motorcycles down there right now. He has it out their side. He can see them, but yeah, this is crazy to say the least.
It's a street takeover of sorts, only while in motion.
So are they in Downey? What
here
is
on Imperial Highway?
Yes. No, this is South LA for sure. It's
South LA.
Right at the 105 and the 105 and the.
But they're on to them.
Yeah, in such a frenzy. I can't imagine what it's like to be out on the road and see this coming at you, especially on the wrong side of the road. I would think it's a good idea if you know someone whose commute takes them through this area, they might want to just pull over for a while. This is really unpredictable, really dangerous, and especially for people who are not aware of what's going on. Gil, it looks like they've been trying to communicate with each other, kind of yelling back and forth, giving hand signals. I would imagine that if this is going to end, that they're going to probably try to split up, and it would make it even harder for those motor officers to bring them all into custody. And as they get really close to pedestrians.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I mean, those poor people walking across the street didn't know what was coming. You know, they turned north on Prairie. Unfortunately, we cannot go into that area because that's in the direct path of the planes coming into LAX. So we're going to have to watch them from a distance here.
All right, folks, we're getting ready to end. We done got our steps in. It's time to get in the shower. So we're going to be streaming tonight. We're going to be streaming tonight for sure. Probably about 6 or 7. Just depends on what time I finish eating and everything and chill with the family. So I want to thank you all for coming in. We're going to do this, try to do something similar to this every day. So, because I got to get my steps in every morning, and I'm going to stream while I'm doing it. So, everybody have a good day. Thank you for all those that have served. And we'll catch you next time.